exit stage
Left.
and more hop. So there you go.
Who
So
are we
this
missing?
guy is sitting in.
So
Okay.
weird. Okay.
And I put it there.
2 minutes.
Did you say that to Jeff?
Yeah. I just gave the 2 minute. Do we only have 3 for the first one? I can't do this. Did one of these not show up? Why do we move it here?
I thought I saw it.
Everybody's here, so chairs back out. Are we lowering the lights?
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing tonight? Good job. Thank you so much for being here for our 2026 Primary Candidate Forum, a night to listen and learn. Again, a night to listen and to learn. My name is Matt McCormick, and I am the President and CEO of the Ocala Metro Chamber and Economic Partnership, and we're thrilled you're here this evening. Thank you so much for taking time to come out to support our candidates, to support our community, to support one another, and to be a part of this evening. We also want to say a very big thank you to each and every one of our candidates that are here this evening. We invited every single one of our primary candidates for the state representative seats, for the county commission, and for the school board that represent any part of Marion County. We're thrilled they're here, and we thank them so much for taking their time to be here. You know, putting your name on a ballot is a very big thing. It takes a lot to be willing to put your name on a ballot. Not very many people are willing to do that. It's a lot for yourself, it's a lot for your family, it's a lot for your business, it's a lot for your community. And so we're so thankful they're here, and we want to make sure that tonight is a respectful night. We want to make sure tonight is a night that we respect and honor and thank all of our candidates that are running for every single seat that we have. So we ask that you take the time this evening and that we be respectful this evening. We listen, we learn, we get to know about our candidates, we get to know about their priorities. If you feel the need to disagree and you feel the need to out loud disagree, we got a great park right out here. And there's plenty of birds that would love to listen to you. And then come right back in and enjoy listening and learning. We are going to ask that we all be respectful tonight. It's not a debate. It is a forum. It is a night to listen and learn. So we ask that everybody be respectful. And with that, if you do decide to get loud and be disrespectful, we'll give you a warning. After one warning, if you continue, we will escort you out of the room. because we are going to make sure that tonight's going to be a fun night. We're going to make sure tonight's going to be a positive night, and we're going to make sure that tonight is about making Marion County the best county in the state of Florida. And that's who we are, and that's what we're going to do. So thank you again for being here. I'm going to jump off stage and bring up our two moderators for this evening. So please join me in welcoming Tom James, our VP of Business Services, and Jessica Gilbert, our VP of our foundation at the CEP. Give them a round of applause. They're going to be leading us tonight. Thank you again.
Matt, thank you. It's great to see so many people here. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Marion County Candidate Forum. Thank you for joining us as we provide an opportunity for voters to hear directly from the candidates seeking to serve our community. On behalf of the Ocala Metro Chamber and Economic Partnership, thank you for being here both in person and joining us via live stream. Our goal tonight is simple: to provide a neutral, informative platform that helps voters make informed decisions before Election Day. I'm Tom James from the Ocala CEP. I'll be moderating tonight's forum alongside the CEP's Jessica Gilbert.
Good evening. We appreciate all of the candidates who have dedicated their time and energy to public service and who are participating in tonight's forum. Before we begin, we'd like to recognize the organization that made this evening possible, Progress Marion. Tonight's forum is presented by Progress Marion, and we are grateful for their support in helping make civic engagement opportunities like this possible. Please join me in welcoming Progress Marion's David Tillman.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, they turned the lights up so bright I can't quite see any of you, so I assume that there's a room full of people based on the noise that I heard. I'll be the worst dressed person up on the stage tonight, I think. So everybody else I saw in the back was dressed in suits and ties. They didn't tell me the attire to wear, so I came as I did from work. So I want to tell you a little bit about Progress Marion because last night I read what Bridget Smith posted online about us, and it was from AI. And as you all know, AI is in its infancy stage, and it's quite wrong quite frequently. And so it is wrong about Progress Marion. We're a business-focused and driven organization independent of the CEP. We formed because the CEP does not endorse candidates or rate them on their merits. We are business people of Marion County who have been creating jobs and prosperity in this community for many years. The business community has been too quiet and not as involved with politics and candidates as we've needed to be. That's coming to an end. We're going to advocate for good candidates who will provide quality leadership and promote a sustainable community for Marion County. And tonight, I would encourage you, all of you, to go home after this is over with, do research online, and see what these candidates have written on their campaign pages and posted on their Facebook pages. Compare what they tell you tonight to see if they have a true north, or did they just show up and tell you what they think you want to see to win a vote tonight. Also, are the proposals that they're stating possible within our budget, or are they socialistic ideas that will destroy the prosperity of our community and cost us as taxpayers dearly in years to come? So please keep these things in mind, and we look forward to a great, I shouldn't say debate, a great forum tonight where we get to hear what they think based on the questions that they're asked, and I hope that all of you do get out and vote. Thank you for your time.
All right, well, before we begin tonight, we would like to review tonight's format and expectations. Candidates will be seated and introduced in alphabetical order. All of these candidates will be participating in the August 16th primary election. Questions have been submitted in advance and selected to address issues important to Marion County residents. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. Time limits will be strictly enforced to ensure fairness and equal opportunity for all candidates.
Candidates should direct their responses to the audience and the viewers. We ask that all candidates and attendees maintain a respectful and professional environment throughout this evening. Applause is welcome at the conclusion of each race segment. However, we ask that audience members refrain from cheering, interrupting, or reacting during candidate responses. The CEP and Progress Marion do not endorse any candidate and serve solely as neutral hosts for this forum.
All right, we'll begin tonight with Florida House District 21, and we would like to introduce the candidates in alphabetical order as they join us on stage.
They're coming, I promise. Go ahead.
The candidates are Sylvain Doré, sitting in for Xavier Monroe, Mark Perriello, Malik Moore, and Jacqueline Randall.
You guys may have a seat, please. Your mic should already be on.
Right. We will begin with the questions in alphabetical order with Sylvain Doré. If any of you would like the question repeated on down the line, just feel free to ask. The first question. Florida's 2026 property tax reduces assessment caps and expands homestead exemptions, which could have the potential to significantly reduce local revenue streams beginning in 2027. If approved by voters, how will you ensure that the property tax amendment will not jeopardize funding for essential services including public safety, waste management, libraries, and parks?
Indeed. Thank you for organizing this session. It's a great pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to come to Marion County and meet the local people. I should briefly mention that I want to reintroduce myself because I was in the race against Stan McLean for the state senate, and I'm happy that District 21 is essentially included within the same district, so I'm meeting a lot of the same people. This discussion about property tax is very sensitive issue and can be quite dramatic. I've made some calls today and found out that, for example, the city of Ocala would have a deficit of $5 to $18 million, and the county is also very similar, and these were not accounted. So this is going to affect exactly the police, it's going to affect the firemen, it's going to affect all the service that we used to. And for the smaller cities, because obviously the homestead is for your own home, and here there's quite a lot of other businesses, so the taxes is a significant revenue. But for the other cities around and other communities that don't have many of those extra homes or businesses, then it's going to be a serious it's going to affect everybody. And that's going to affect the school. And we know that in Marion County, we need more teachers. There's a lot of big vacancy on that. The scoring in terms of maths and reading is not the best. And I think we can do much better, and our kids deserve much better. So again, for me, I would say think twice, because obviously it's very enticing to have a significant reduction in property tax. But I think everyone has to think about their neighbors. I think a characteristic of me, I care about the people who are often silent, who are often not on the stage and be able to speak and defend themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doré. Next, sitting in for Xavier Moore, Mark Perriello.
Thank you. Xavier Monroe is the candidate's name. So anyways, my name is Mark Perriello, and first and foremost, I want to congratulate the Chamber on winning the annual Chamber of the Year award from ACE. That is a really big deal. I used to run a Chamber of Commerce for about 10 years before I came out to Florida. And so anyways, to answer your specific question, which is if it were to pass, and it's a hypothetical, and we all know politicians don't like to answer hypothetical questions, I would say this. You want to send someone to Tallahassee who's going to be able to bring that money back into the districts, back to Marion County, back to Alachua County, if it were to pass. And I think, and I know actually, that Xavier Monroe is that candidate. He can work across the aisle. That is what he wants to do. He wants to partner, right? We are in a state where the Republicans have a supermajority. We're in a Democratic primary. Send someone to Tallahassee who wants to dialogue, who wants to partner, who wants to figure out where those strings of commonality are, rather than someone who is going to, maybe just toe the party line and not necessarily be able to work with people who right, are then going to control a whole lot of money that our communities need for fire, for police, for teachers. And so that is what I would say if it were to hypothetically pass.
Thank you, Mr. Perriello. Next, Malik Moore.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Malik Moore, and I'm really honored to be here. It is true that there is a big conversation happening on property tax, and it's an important conversation. Listen, I support finding ways to bring relief to everyday Floridians. However, at the same time, we must make sure that our municipalities and our local governments can still operate, can still make sure we have fire, make sure we have police. And so my plan, if this were to pass, is that we need legislation that would backfill that, because I think that would be bipartisan. It still makes the cuts to the budget that the conservatives, even the most conservatives in the legislature want. It still provides that relief, but at the same time, it makes sure that essential services such as fire, police, our libraries, and just the basic essential services of local government can still continue. However, I think there are more impactful ways that we can provide relief rather than this property tax initiative that has not fully been thought out. There are ways that we can lower sales tax for certain people. There are ways that we can lower the barriers of entry for home ownership and reducing capping dock stamp taxes. There are many other things that I think we should look at that will have a more direct effect. I have been a chief of staff in the Florida House of Representatives for 6 years. I have passed legislation. I have worked across the aisle. So I know that I can get this done on day one fighting for you. And so those are my plans, and that's how I would approach the property tax debate. Thank you so much.
Malik Moore, thank you. Ms. Jacqueline Randall.
Thank you. Who better to answer the question than a mayor that's coming fresh out of a seat from a local level? So I understand the impacts directly of what it means to a municipality. I don't have to talk about gestures from the sideline. I can tell you how that feels as being a leader of a community already. So to answer this question, it'll be a two-part phase for me. While combating or fighting against the actual legislation bill, the right thing to do for the legislator that's in this seat is to fight for the appropriations and bring it back home to this district, something that we haven't seen in quite a while. And as a sitting mayor, that's what I wanted for my legislator sitting over the last 5 years.
Thank you, Ms. Randall.
Mr. Perriello, we'll start with you for this second question and work our way down again. How will you balance the need for property tax relief with the concerns of our small Marion County cities and the strain reform could put on their budgets?
Thank you. So it will put a strain on budgets, no doubt, if it were to pass. And so I think what we need to look at is potentially other ways to bring in revenue. But again, going back to my first answer, it's the same answer. Right, we need to work in Tallahassee, we need to work across the aisle as Democrats with Republicans, because it's going to affect those small cities too, right? It's going to affect Gainesville just as much as it's going to, affect Spar, right? And so we need to make sure that we're working with each other, finding that common thread, which would be, right, that all of our cities, all of our towns, all of our people are going to be affected. And so working with each other to make sure that there is money coming back to the districts, right, through the legislative process. That money isn't just going to disappear. And one thing I would add, too, is we need to make sure that it doesn't come with a lot of strings, right? This is our locality. This is where we make decisions. We don't need folks in Tallahassee telling us how to spend it. They weren't doing it before, and they shouldn't do it now. Thanks.
Mr. Moore?
Thank you. So there is an ongoing conversation about the state making sure that our fiscally constrained cities and counties get the funding that they need, the funding that will be lost during this property tax initiative. I would fully support that. We need to, again, make sure that our local governments are able to do the job of governing locally. They are closest to the people. They know the solutions that need to happen to directly impact the people, and we should support that. However, again, I go back to saying that there are other ways that we can provide direct relief that is tangible to everyday Floridians other than property tax, and we need to actually explore those issues. Appropriations was mentioned. That is a a band-aid to the solution. I've actually been able to bring millions of dollars in the budget as a chief of staff during appropriations process. I know the appropriations process, but I can also tell you that's not going to solve the problem. What's really going to solve the problem is having someone who has done the work before and is ready on day one to actually have the conversations across the aisle, to have actual policy put in place so that our fiscally constrained counties and cities don't have to worry about how they're going to send a fire truck to your house or how their police are going to show up if you call 911. That should be a no-brainer. Those are things that we can do that are bipartisan, that I am able and ready to do on day one and ready to fight for you doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Randall.
Having the funding at the local level, whether it's through appropriations, through grants, it doesn't matter. The money spends the same. So to say that it's not the solution, it is, and I'm telling you that from a sitting mayor position. We don't care how it hits our budget as long as we're able to expand profits versus loss and have an equal and balanced budget at the end of this budget session. That's all that we care about, is taking care of people. How we get that done is up to the work ahead in Tallahassee. You do have to work across the aisles and have those relationships. You also have to have relationships down at the municipality level, which I bring to the table as well. Working with local leaders and not telling them what to do, but giving them the resources to do what they need to do best for the constituents that they serve is the role of a legislator.
Thank you so much. Mr. Diori?
I'm a retired professor and doctor from UF. I've been in the US for 26 years. Came from Baltimore, Washington, D.C., where I've seen both extreme and been very happy to be in Florida. I've been here for 14 years now, and it's been a blessing. With that experience, I come prepared. I come with numbers. I come with notes. I always have my glasses and my pen. So this tax, if we move along with this, is going to create a $25 billion deficits for the state of Florida. Think about it. It's going to, and what is worry about me is that it often attacks the people who are most vulnerable. Because someone who has a house of $350,000, well, it's okay, they're going to get a significant credit, but what about the renters? The renters, in fact, they will likely get they call it a triple whammy, meaning that most likely their rent will increase, they don't benefit from any credit, and then they don't have any hope to be able to participate in this project. And then it's going to affect the investors around who they will really think twice before coming here and really, is it worth investing? Because I'm going to pay extra as compared to people who have their own home. And then it's going to cut all the service. It's being well documented that there's a significant risk that it will affect the public transportation, again, affecting a certain population, the park maintenance, and we know that Florida, that's what we live for, the animal shelters, and we've heard recently what things can happen there, the public library, and it's going to affect also the emergency response. So I think we have to send someone there who's more than just once, but who's a doer. I have the experience that I can deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dore. Our third and final question, we will begin this time with Malik Moore. The proposed property tax amendment has the potential to shift costs, reduce local government revenue, and affect the services and infrastructure businesses rely on, even as homeowners seek relief from rising tax bills. If elected, how would you balance property tax relief with the need to protect Florida's business climate, workforce, and local quality of life for business growth?
So thank you for the question. One of the things I do in my community is I serve on the public policy board for the Greater Gainesville Chamber of Commerce. And these are the conversations that we're having every time we meet. One of the ways that we can make sure that we are creating an environment in the state that is able for businesses to come and thrive is to make sure that they have people to employ, making sure that we have workforce streams, workforce development streams in our schools and in our communities that ensure that people have the skills that they need to go out and live a good life and earn a wage and be able to work these jobs. But the other thing is to making sure that our tax situation in the state is not one that is overburdensome to where businesses can't come and consumers can't thrive. And what this property tax initiative does, like you said, it shifts the burden and it shifts it onto our businesses. That's why I'm saying that we need to have real thoughtful conversations, policy conversations, not just about shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but what does the policy look like? How is it going to impact everyday Floridians? So we can make sure that we have a state where our economy is set up so we can have new businesses coming into our local communities, where we can have mom and pop shops, or even if you have a horse farm, making sure that you are situated economically to do the best that you absolutely can, while at the same time making sure that those on the other side of town who are just scraping, trying to get by, have the resources that they need to live their life and to make ends meet. It's not hard to do. It's called public policy, and that's what your legislature is supposed to do, is have those hard conversations, figuring out what the public policy is. I've done that work, and I'm ready to do it again. Thank you so much.
Mr. Moore, thank you. Ms. Randall?
I think Tallahassee's focus should be propping up the economic development portion that's kind of slacking in the rural areas. District 21 is composed of more rural space than it is inner city space. So having that conversation and providing those relationships from Tallahassee down to local municipal leaders will be the key to closing that gap on what the economic base needs to transform through. Also, we're creating workforce development. Doing things like what we've done over in Hawthorne is putting a Santa Fe outpost out in a community such as Hawthorne, ensuring that the workforce development has the workers and create systems for kids to go straight from high school into the workforce in a limited amount of time to ensure that the workforce stays stable and remains viable.
Thank you, Ms. Randall. Mr. Dore.
Yes. These issues are very concerning because it's very difficult to predict the future. These come on us, and no one saw them coming, and no one thought that it would be so drastic. All the mayors are complaining about it, all the associations are complaining about it, and this is not fair. And we have to give it the time to people to process it, and we have to come up with the best solution. They had time during the session to discuss, they did not agree, and then they had a special session, so just think about how much it costs to create another extra session. And for me, again, in regard to predictability, I went to a debate for two candidates for Hawthorne, and I was shocked that they did not have any idea how much it would impact their town. And they have big projects about revitalization, etc., but they had no idea when I asked how much you think that it can affect you. So this will be a tremendous burden for everybody. And then just think about it. The agency who do the scoring for the AAA, when you borrow money, they said that this will significantly affect the rate. So most likely it will increase the inflation, increase the interest rate when you borrow. Then it's been documented that by the Office Florida Department that to get back to what it was, the tax would have to increase by at least 6% to likely 12%. So think about it. So I'm not saying, I'm not coming up with those numbers. I'm only researching on the brain, but these are numbers that are being provided, and we have to really think about it. And the sad part is that the surplus that comes every year to the state, then even DeSantis wanted to create a trust so some of the money can be to help the people who need it the most. And the latest version, they removed that trust.
Thank you, Mr. Dore. And finally, for Mr. Monroe, Mark Perriello.
I'm going to ask you to repeat the question.
Yes, sir. The proposed property tax amendment has the potential to shift costs, reduce local government revenue, and affect the services and infrastructure businesses rely on, even as homeowners seek relief from rising tax bills. If elected, how would you balance property tax relief with the need to protect Florida's business climate, workforce, and local quality of life for business growth?
Thank you for repeating the question. So, a number of ways, but I think first and foremost, it's meeting businesses where they are, right? And so, it is the workforce. It is making sure that that pipeline from school to career is working and is thriving. That, the school system here in Marion County has things that can be improved on, and focusing on things like that so that when as kids are graduating and entering that workforce, that they are able and ready and willing to work. I think it is about infrastructure. In a growing county, making sure that the infrastructure is keeping pace with that growth is so important. How many of us have sat in traffic, a million times on I-75 or, other roads here in town? Making sure that infrastructure is matching, that's how you're going to help businesses. People aren't going to want to hop in their car and go drive down the street to the mom and pop shop when they can have Amazon deliver if they know they're going to be sitting in traffic. And so that is something, right? So you need to really look at the whole ecosystem that exists in order for things to work for businesses. I think Dr. Monroe, or I know Dr. Monroe gets that. He has been talking with business owners up and down Marion County, Alachua County, and they have one thing that they all say in common, and it's actually affordability, right? It gets to that question. So, right, costs are going up for individuals, they're going up for businesses as well, and so folks are struggling, right? They know, right, as business owners, that if the price is too high, people aren't going to want to shop. If traffic is too much, they're going to go to Amazon. And so those things are really important for us to think about when we're looking at businesses and how they can thrive and grow, right? Growth is important as well, right? And so not just where they are today, where do they want to be tomorrow? And how do you get there? And you get there by, I'm out of time almost, you get there by helping them succeed where they're at now, helping the county succeed as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are at the end of our question session. Each candidate will now have 1 minute for a closing statement. We'll begin alphabetically with Mr. Sylvain Doré.
Well, times fly. I hope you can remember that I care about people. I'm a retiree. I could have left the Florida, but I decided to stay because I love Florida. I love its potential. And I don't do it for the money. I don't do it for political gain. I don't do it for my next job or my next promotion. I do it because I care about helping others. I was elected by all the faculty at UF, 5,500, to represent them. And I was president of the faculty senate. That was my community. I was member of the board of trustees, and I was the only Democrat around 9 appointed by DeSantis, Republican. And we were able to accomplish quite a lot. We did, in terms of police, we did additional training for use a taser, additional training for de-escalation. In terms of affordable housing, we made a development for the graduate students. And in terms of daycare, we expanded daycare. And I would like to discuss with you about daycare. In conclusion, remember my name is Doré, it means gold. There's an accent, the guy with the funny accent. So you can remember when you go on your ballot, you look for the accent.
Thank you. Mark Perriello for Xavier Monroe.
Thank you. So I have a prepared statement here, so I'm going to read through some of this because I think it's important to hear from Xavier. He couldn't be here tonight because, like most Floridians, he works a full-time job while he's balancing the responsibilities of this campaign. So he asked me to be here for tonight for one reason. He believes the best way to serve people is to listen to them first, and he wanted to make sure he heard what was on your minds. He isn't a career politician. He grew up in East Gainesville. Has family roots run deep in the region. The Monroe family has long-standing ties to Williston and Ocala. His father worked for over 20 years in the host industry here, and he gives him a personal connection to the communities, businesses, and families that make North Central Florida such a special place to call home. His roots are a big part of why he's running. And he is focused on practical solutions that lower costs, make it easier for working families to make ends meet. He supports expanding housing opportunities, addressing Florida's insurance crisis, investing in workforce development, improving access to health care, and create good-paying jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perriello. Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Well, thank you all again for this opportunity and for the lively conversation. Listen, I'm born and raised in East Gainesville in a little neighborhood called Sugar Hill, and it's where I learned how to serve. It's where I learned the importance of community. It's where I learned how to stand up and fight for those who could not fight for themselves. I've been working in my community since I was a teenager, and when I finished at Santa Fe, I went off to Tallahassee, worked my way up from the intern to a chief of staff in the Florida House of Representatives. I helped write policy. I helped pass policy, so I know how to do this job on day one. But this campaign is rooted in one single value. value, a lesson instilled in me by my grandmother that when you see your fellow man down, you lift them up. And that's all that we're trying to do. Whether you are a small business owner, a major horse farm operator, somewhere in between or nowhere in between, we all want the same thing. A government that fights for us, that meets our needs, is accessible to us, and I can do that on day one. So on August 18th, I'm asking you to vote for Malik Moore so we can provide more for Florida and more for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Ms. Randall.
And ultimately, I'm running for this seat not only to take the level of work and services that I have provided in this district for the last 7 years to Tallahassee, but also because I understand personally all of the issues that we're faced and challenged with throughout the state of Florida. As a mom who's raising her children in this district, I understand the affordability crisis. As an educator at a community college here, I understand the value of education and having the multiple sources to be able to go to, but also not weighing in on the back of public education at the expense of public education. And also with the insurance crisis, I understand as being a homeowner in this district for well over a decade, what that impact looks like for Floridians, and I'm willing to fight for that on day one. I think this district deserves a leader who is not just going up with abstract ideas and aspirations to serve in this district, but one who has proven leadership of already serving in this district.
Thank you, Ms. Randall. And thank you to all of our candidates. I would ask all of you at this time to please stand and exit stage left. Thank you all.
Thank you so much to our Florida House District 21 candidates. Up next, we want to welcome the candidates from Florida House District 24. Please welcome Ryan Chamberlain and Scott Wilkins. As we did prior, we will start in alphabetical order, so that means Representative Chamberlain, we start with you. Florida's property tax reduces assessment caps and expands homestead exemption, which could have the potential to significantly reduce local revenue streams beginning in 2027. If approved by voters, how will you ensure that the property tax amendment will not jeopardize funding for essential services, including public safety, waste management, libraries, and parks?
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Marion County, for allowing me to serve you for the last several sessions, and I'm excited about going back this fall. Property taxes have been a very passion of mine since day one. I ran on this topic and have filed bills. Matter of fact, this past year I filed a bill for a complete replacement plan along with an elimination plan. So I'm certainly conscious of the fact that we need to replace funding. I will say this, property taxes have gone up over 50% in the last 4 years. Most of our counties weren't counting on that kind of increase, yet we have spent that. So I'm a proponent at looking at the budget, tightening the budget where needed, but also eliminating any of the fraud and or things that maybe are in other areas of the states, not in Marion, but we need to clean it up across the state. Now, property taxes have gone up a significant amount, so there is room for us to bring them back down, and that's what some of this upcoming bill will do. But I have proposed, as a matter of fact, I filed a bill this past session and will continue to push it. For example, the first thing I would look at to bring new revenue in and take it off the backs of homeowners is I would look first at the 140 million people that are traveling in and out of our state each year. If they get in trouble, if they get pulled over, if the fire department needs to come in and help rescue them, the travelers don't pay anything towards property taxes. The homeowners are paying for all of that safety. I think there's some simple things we can do in the travel space where we still can be competitive, generate billions of dollars. We already have a system where we give money back from the state on a per pupil system when it comes to our schools. We can do something similar to create the funding right back to our local communities from this, and it will solve some serious problems quickly and help our housing become that much more affordable. Thank you.
Mr. Scott Wilkins.
Thank you.
They turn it off.
Thank you. I agree with Representative Chamberlain. I believe that our state uses a lot more money than we should be using. We're paying a lot more in property tax than we should be paying. I hope this amendment passes. I'm not a homeowner. I would love to be a homeowner one day. and with the way property taxes are going up, it's hard to achieve that at the moment. How we would counterbalance that, I believe our state brings in a lot of money from tourism. I believe we can utilize that money a lot better than we currently are utilizing it. I believe we can channel some of that money into funding for some local projects, fire departments, police officers, education. I didn't prepare for 2 minutes, so I'm sorry about that. But property tax, as Representative Chamberlain said, has gone up, and I don't believe it should be going up. I believe there should at least be a cap on it if this amendment doesn't pass. That's all I got.
You could probably just stay standing because the next question is coming right to you.
All right. Mr. Wilkins, how will you balance the need for property tax relief with the concerns of our small Marion County cities and the strain the reform could put on their budgets?
A lot of property tax questions. I believe that we could balance it by, like I said, channeling some of that money. Education is a big issue right now in our state. Our state ranks 42nd out of all 50 states in education. Marion County is 56th in education and literacy. I believe we need to find a way to channel some more money into that. I saw the police departments and fire departments, their unions just got a big pay increase, which they're still voting on as far as I'm aware of. But we haven't done the same thing for teachers, and I believe we need to find a way to channel some more money that's coming in from our state, like I said, from tourism, from some other companies, all these companies that want to build AI data centers. We need to find a way to use that money and channel it back into the county. As your representative, I would work to make sure that that money is getting back to you, the people, and that it's not being used for waste or being mismanaged in any way by the government. That's all I got.
All right, Mr. Wilkins, thank you. Mr. Chamberlain.
Thank you for the question. In the plan that I filed this past cycle, I actually excluded the cities and municipalities from the elimination of property taxes for now. We need to look at all of it. I want people to actually be able to own their property. That's the root of this. Currently, the government has a lien on everyone's property. We're paying rent, and there's a better way to generate the revenue. But I also believe that right now, it's going to take a few years to really move this to where I would like it to be, and there needs to be a weaning out process. But in our cities and counties, for example, there are extra services that are being provided. And you can choose not to live in a city. So I almost envision the way the city structure is today, almost like an HOA. I mean, you don't have to live in that community if you don't want to, but if you do, you're choosing to pay for extra services. And that's the way that I currently view the city funding. We need to tighten it where we can. There has been a bloating effect because of the rise in property taxes. There's no end in sight. We need to get that under control. But then we need to look at really the statewide and countywide first, counties first, and take care of that, and then we can come back and look at the city. So we've got some protection things we're working on there. We've got some revenue generation ideas. There is no one, I can tell you from sitting in the Florida House, there's no one, including myself, that will vote on anything that I believe is going to defund the police or the fire department. The governor's not interested in that. Wouldn't be a popular concept. But there also hasn't been an aggressive conversation about replacement, and I see that conversation coming. Now that we got phase one of this coming on the ballot, there's a lot of conversations about revenue generation. I plan on bringing those back to our county. I actually proactively this past year had many meetings with our local elected officials to talk about and begin to uncover revenue generation ideas to make sure that Marion County is taken care of. And I can promise you, Marion County is being looked after with deep sincerity and thought. Thank you.
Representative Chamberlain, right back to you. The proposed property tax amendment has the potential to shift costs, reduce local government revenue, and affect services and infrastructure businesses rely on, even as homeowners seek relief from rising tax bills. If elected, how would you balance property tax relief with the need to protect Florida's business climate, workforce, and local quality of life or business growth?
Well, to make it very clear, I am for the elimination of all property taxes. I don't believe the government should have a lien on your house. I also don't believe the government should have a lien on your business. The pizza shop that's been around for 30 years shouldn't have to worry about whether or not they made a tax payment or their property gets seized. Now, in order to accomplish what I'm going after, the complete elimination, we need a replacement plan as well. So how am I going to go after it? I'm going to make sure that there is revenue and replacement revenue. Of course, I don't believe any other legislators and or the next governor would usher in anything without a complete plan. So I am going to be in the middle of it, Marion County. I'm going to make sure that our local communities are funded. I work closely with the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department. We're certainly proactive. I've done, I believe, served this community well. This has been my third election cycle, but we're absolutely going to look for those protection mechanisms, along with the other 119 legislators that are doing this for their counties and their cities as well. So specific revenue generation ideas. I have several ideas, don't have enough time to go through them. We are proposing those ideas now. I mentioned one to you with the travel. That alone will generate billions for our state, and much of travel does come through Marion on its way. A lot of our revenue is generated from people traveling through Marion to go to other parts of the state. We could benefit from that if it was structured properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilkins.
All right, thank you. So, like I said, tourism, we rely heavily on it in our state. I believe we should utilize that money more often and better to serve our communities. We can offset that property tax amendment, and we can use that money. In addition, look around. We're overdeveloping like crazy. If we can find a way to channel some of that money from those builders, if we can improve our infrastructure and make the builders be more accountable for that and responsible for it, that's an easy source of income that we can use, that we can generate to offset that property tax. Like I said, police departments, fire departments, education, we need money in all of those sectors. So while property tax being eliminated would be awesome, we need to utilize some other revenue streams. We're setting aside millions, if not billions of dollars for hurricane relief, which we definitely need, but what about the rest of the money that our state is bringing in? Where are we using that money? As your representative, I work to find a way to use some of that money that might be being mismanaged and bring it back into the community. I want to represent you, Marion County. I want to bring that money back to you. I want to make sure that you can live comfortably and safely and not have to pay an arm and a leg for your house. I want to make sure that our fire departments are supported, our police departments are supported, and to overall make sure our educators are supported. So, like I said, overdevelopment, that's the easy money stream right there. If we're going to allow them to build, if we're going to allow them to overdevelop like crazy, let's tap into some of that money. Let's have some of that money funnel back into the community. Let's have some infrastructure. Let's make them accountable. Let's have that money go back into our economy and into our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Each candidate will now have 1 minute to give a closing statement. We will go alphabetically. First up, Representative Chamberlain.
First of all, thank you for the questions, and thank everyone for participating here today and being here today. I was elected in a special election in 2023 and hit the ground running. The first bill I filed was an elimination of property tax bill. 2024, I served Marion County and was named Legislator of the Year by the PBA, the police, so I'm very concerned and work with the police organizations. In 2025, I was then named Legislator of the Year for the Florida Coalition of Children for the work that we did in the foster community. So although we've talked a lot about property taxes, I'm doing many other things. In addition, this year right now, not counting the previous years, we have been certainly building a reputation for someone that gets things done in Marion County, but in the state of Florida. We just recently were able to bring back over $4.3 million for local nonprofits, about 10 different ones right here that we were responsible for and helping make it happen. Didn't do it by ourselves. We did it with our Senator McLean as well. So we're going to continue that work. I'm asking for your vote on August 18th to be reelected, to go back and continue the momentum we have here for Marion County. God bless.
Thank you. Your 1 minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Chamberlain. Thank you, Marion County, for giving me the opportunity to come and speak to you today. I've been living in Marion County for 16 years. I've seen a lot of the change that's taken place, some of it for the good, some of it for the bad. I was able to adopt 3 beautiful children. I'm able to live here comfortably with my beautiful fiance and my children, but it's getting harder to live, and that's why I want to run. That's why I want to make a difference. I want to truly represent the people because I'm just like you. I I am out here, I am working at sometimes 2 jobs to try and afford everything. I want to improve education. I'm an educator myself. I see what our education system is looking like, and I want to improve it. I just want to give back to the people. I want to fix some things that need to be fixed, and overall represent you. Thank you for coming out today. Thank you for the questions. Thank you, Representative Chamberlain. Thank you.
Thank you both, and thank you so much. Would we now ask you to exit stage left? Have a great night. These guys are my favorites.
All right, thank you all. Next, we would like to welcome the candidates up for County Commission District 2 in alphabetical order: Matt Creedle, Mike Crimmy, and Brian Wadmiller. You may be seated. All right, we will ask these questions and begin, 3 questions, and we'll begin alphabetically with the first question to you, Mr. Creedle. Marion County continues to experience rapid population growth. What does responsible growth mean to you, and what one infrastructure investment do you believe must be a priority?
Thank you, Tom. And first, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I want to thank Matt and the CEP for hosting this. This is amazing. I appreciate your engagement. So responsible growth, Tom, thank you to you and Jessica as well. So responsible growth means respecting both sides of the urban growth boundary. It means looking at density again and recognizing that we are growing. It's a scarcity thing. We had a lot of land. We still have a lot of land, but people are coming in, and so we have less than we had. So we need to increase the cost of admission, basically. The responsible growth needs to go where the infrastructure already is, where the infrastructure, the roads, the utilities already exist. And roads are the infrastructure that I believe are number one. We all sit in traffic. We all probably sat in traffic coming over here. Nobody likes sitting in traffic. But there are ways that we can reduce the traffic. There's ways that Marion County has started it, but they can do more. And I would like to continue to do more, to continue to build the alternate corridors, to continue to work with the city of Ocala and the city of Bellevue and the city of Denellen on things like traffic lights, on things like coordination to make sure as the traffic flows, each municipality is coordinating with the city, that we're coordinating with FDOT and we're coordinating with USDOT to understand their projects, their timelines, because there are projects like 484 and 75. That's a state project, as we all may know, but the county needs to have an understanding of what the state's goal is, what the state's timeline is, and most importantly, what the holdups are, so they can relay that to the citizens, so the citizens understand that relief may be on the way. And that relief, again, is designed to provide traffic relief, to allow the density to grow inside the urban growth boundary, because what are we known as? We are known as the horse capital of the world, and we should continue to be known as the horse capital of the world. If you want to live in a horse farm, the farmland preservation area should never go anywhere. It is our culture, it is our character, and we need to protect that. But we are growing. We all know that we're growing, so we have to grow responsibly, smartly, and inside the urban growth boundary where the density can be relooked at, and we can affect the most positive change in the quickest time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Creedle. Mr. Crimmy?
Thank you all for being here. My name is Mike Crimmy. I'm running for Marion County Commission District 2. Responsible growth to me is that we need to stop unchecked growth. The unchecked growth is when you have approvals before performance. We need performance before approval. We need road first, infrastructure first, schools first. We need public safety first, and all the services first. That is checked growth. So we need to stop unchecked growth. We need to follow the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan tells you where and how. And there's a Growth Management Act of Florida that spells it out real nice with the law. And that's what we need to be following when we follow the growth pattern. You know, we have to have growth pays for growth, infrastructure first, and the citizens should never bear the weight of a project, of a new development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crimmy. Mr. Wadmiller? Check.
Hey, there we go. All right, question, responsible growth, right? Thanks, Tom. So yes, responsible growth starts with remembering what we are as Marion County. We are the horse capital of the world. We are Silver Springs, we are aquifers, we are the beauty that goes into everything that Marion County's culture is. And remembering that we don't want to be Orlando, we don't want to be Miami. We do and we will have growth, but it needs to be responsible and checked. And not everything that comes across the desk needs to be approved. We have to remember that Marion County's culture is surrounded by horse farms. Now, we are also a hub for 41, 301, 27, I-75. Everyone from this side of the country over comes through Marion County, and we are a hub for Tampa and for Orlando and for South Florida. So we will grow and we will expand, but we need to check that growth and do it responsibly. And remember that horse farms and our farm culture and our lifestyle is surrounded by that. I'll give you a good example. You wouldn't move to Paris and want to put a super Walmart right downtown. It's not something you would do. And we don't want that to happen here in Marion County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watermiller.
We will move to Mr. Crimmy for the second question. If voters pass the property tax relief amendment and revenues fall short, how would you approach prioritizing county services?
Can you say it again?
I sure can. If voters pass the property tax relief amendment and revenues fall short, how would you approach prioritizing county services?
Okay. So revenues they're going to fall short unless we come up with a balancing act, how to balance the property tax deficit, which if nothing is done about it, it could be up to $300 million a year. That's a very serious number, and we have to make up for that. So one thing is you have to have an efficient government. An efficient government is affordability. It supports public safety and has a great a growth management plan. And when you have an efficient government, you can take innovation and bring it into the majority of the departments that make up for the lion's share of the budget. In fact, I have a plan to bring in innovation and take a county department that accounts for 1% of the county budget, and that will positively affect 85% of county spending. I'm not going to be able to explain that in the next 1 minute, but it will save millions of dollars by cutting contractor dependency with the Marion County Sheriff's Office, jail inmate health care. It will cut premiums for the county employees' health insurance. It will increase billable calls for Marion County Fire Rescue, producing revenue and saving taxpayers millions of dollars. And for the Marion County judicial system, it'll bring in a behavioral health option for the courts, for diversion to reduce the amount of unnecessary incarcerations at $50,000 to $75,000 per inmate per year, and save taxpayers millions of dollars. And lastly, that county department that makes up 1% of the county budget goes from a cost center to a self-sustaining full enterprise that's revenue producing and saves taxpayers millions of dollars.
Thank you. Mr. Weidmiller?
Can I have the question again?
You certainly may.
Thank you.
If voters pass the property tax relief amendment and revenues fall short, how would you approach prioritizing county services?
Thank you.
Of course.
So the first step would be to be proactive when we do anything in the county. And that is proactive instead of reactive. And when we are proactive, we can start saving money. We can save money on all different levels, starting with fraud, waste, and abuse. You save money by going to the different departments and cutting spending where not needed. We're allocated, and we focus on cutting spending from the beginning rather than after the fact. After we get this tax incentive passed, which hopefully all of you do, and we get that tax incentive, that would be terrific. But we need to start saving money before that. Whether it passes or not, we both win by saving money for the county. If the county departments are on board with not spending frivolously your tax dollars and my tax dollars, then that's an incredible starting point right off the bat. Was there a second part to this?
No, just how would you approach prioritizing county services?
Right, and so we continue to prioritize key services that help building roads and infrastructure, keeping our springs preserved and in line, keeping our people prioritized is the goal. That is always going to be the goal if I'm elected, and that's what we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Creedle?
Thank you.
So this question cannot be answered in 2 minutes, can't be answered in 1 minute, it can't be answered in 5 minutes. So what I would challenge you to do is come and seek me out, and let's talk about this in a longer form, but I will give you a minute-and-a-half answer as I can. And it boils down to what departments come out of the general fund, first of all, because if an enterprise department, they're essentially run like a business. They're charged with making a profit and continuing to offer a service, like utilities, like OCE, like solid waste. So it's going to affect the general fund departments more. And I respectfully disagree. I don't think it'd be a great thing for the county either way. But what that has to be is a conversation with the residents who will use those services. So I would ask you here, you streaming online, and you that vote and live and work and play in Marion County, where do you want to see the level of services reduced? If you voted for the property tax amendment, okay, then let's have a conversation. You obviously feel that it is overburdened, so let's talk about how do we work within the confines of the budget that we will have for the general fund services like parks, like libraries. And it's not just with the BCC, because you have entities like Marion County Sheriff's Office. They have the Municipal Service Taxation Unit for law enforcement, the MSTU for law enforcement. That will definitely, absolutely be affected by property taxes, and the sheriff calls that his patrol fund. That's what the sheriff says he pays his patrol deputies out of, and that stands to lose about $20 million. So the sheriff will lose about $20 million that he pays deputies to patrol these streets. So that's obviously what he's charged with doing and how he's charged with running his budget, but that's a conversation that we all need to have to understand how the level of services are going to drop, because they're going to have to drop because the revenue is not there. And where do you want to see those cuts? Because we are a representative government, so if any one of us up here or anyone that's going to be speaking before or after us represents you, we need to have an understanding from you about where you want to see the changes. Thank you very much.
Mr. Creedle, thank you. The final question, we will start with Mr. Weidmiller. With a county budget of approximately $1.6 billion, what experience do you bring that would help you make sound fiscal decisions to benefit all cities and citizens of Marion County?
Perfect, thank you. That is directly a small business question in my mind. What do I do as a small business for my employees that I have? I remember on a daily basis that I budget appropriately for my employees. And not just for my employees, but for their families, their children, their wives, everybody that lives in their household that depends on a paycheck from my company. If I spend irresponsibly, if I budget like government typically does, then family members in the community of my business may not eat, may not have electricity, may not have household goods for the weekend. So budgeting is so critical for small business, and we need to have more small business mindseted people in government. If we just planned for the future, we counted our pennies, and we stressed out a little bit more about spending all of the taxpayer money, we would be a lot better off. Is there any more to that question?
That's the question.
Hey, that's it. Hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Weidmiller. Mr. Creedle.
All right. So the question is, what experience? So there's a couple different facets as you look at experience, right? It's numbers, it's hard numbers. I don't agree that it's just a small business mindset. It's a business mindset. Do you understand ROI? Do you understand investments? Do you understand how and where to make the cuts and make those costs work? But it's also a relationship question, right? It's also the relationships that you have with the people that are affected by the budget, the people that are approving the budget, and the people that are going to be involved in that budget process, right? So the experience that I have is I have those relationships at the state and federal level, because one of the things that you're looking for to augment your budget if revenues are going down, there are grant programs at the state and federal level. There are ways to capture dollars that will allow us locally to do projects that we would not be able to otherwise do. So understanding those grant programs are key. I have worked in those grant programs at the state and federal level. I have the relationships at the state and federal level to understand, hey, can this grant be used for this? Can this grant be used for that? Should we apply for this grant? Hey, sit down. Okay, understand something. Can we shift this to another department where it would be more efficient to do? Do we need to consolidate a couple departments? Do we need to get rid of some departments? Do we need to reorganize the staff? These are all the questions that we have to answer because the budget has the potential to go down in November. And so as a result, we're going to have to sit and look and reorganize. And you're going to need someone with not just business experience. I agree that it's valuable, but I agree it's more valuable to have a business mindset. And then also the relationships to understand the human cost that those cuts are going to have, because both of those are equally valuable, and I possess both of those qualities. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mr. Creedle. And Mr. Crimmy.
Well, here's what I'll do different. I bring common sense leadership with business and medical professional experience for the past 30 years, 3 decades. And I do simple things. I show up, I listen to you, I'll represent you, I'll respect you, I'll be accountable to you. The defining difference between me and the rest of the candidates is that I bring those 3 decades and 30 years of business and professional experience to the county commission with a proven track record of building and scaling complex business enterprises that I hired, I fired, I met payroll, and I balanced budgets for the past 30 years. I bring innovative ideas, and I bring the leadership needed for Marion County.
Mr. Crimmy, thank you. All right, each candidate will now have 1 minute to give a closing statement. We'll begin alphabetically again with Matt Creedle.
All right, so as he said, and as Tom said, and I said, my name is Matt Creedle. I'm running for Marion County Commission District 2. A little about me. You've heard kind of what I stand for. Let me tell you who I am. And again, I would implore you, if you have questions, if you would like to learn more, mattcreedle.com is the website. My email address is on there. Please come and seek me out and we can talk more. So about me. So I am a 7th generation Marion County resident. My family got here in 1811. So I think we've seen pretty much every piece of growth this county's experienced. My children are the 8th generation of my family born here, and I want to see at least 8 more generations call Marion County home. I've appreciated the hometown feel of growing up here, but I also want my kids to have more opportunity than I had. I spent 4 years in the United States Army. I deployed as part of Special Operations Command as a psychological operations specialist. I've been shot at, so this job cannot be as hard as being shot at and people that don't want you around. So I'd appreciate your vote on August 18th. Thank you very much for your engagement, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, Mr. Creedle. Mr. Crimmy.
Mike Crimmy, running for Marion County Commission District 2. I bring 30 years of business and professional experience, and I understand budgets and expenditures. I'm a prior first responder, firefighter, paramedic, and I am also a U.S. Army veteran. I understand the needs of the people here for safety and security, and I have a growth management plan. Performance before acceptance, and we're going to stop the unchecked growth. Marion County's future is too important to try to manage today's growth with yesterday's systems. We need leadership with real-world experience, real-life experience, business experience, a proven track record, and the courage to bring all of that to the county government before growth outpaces our ability to serve the people. We need the right leadership at the right time. Leadership prepared to get it done. I'm Mike Crimmy. I'm running for Marion County Commission District 2, and I sure hope you'll remember me on August 18th when you vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crimmy. Mr. Weidmiller, your closing statement.
I just want to start off with thank you, everyone, for being here. It's an incredible honor to be up here on stage, and then thanks to the other candidates. It's an incredible honor to be against you in this race. It really is. You guys are incredible people, and so I just want to start off by thanking you. So I'm Brian Weidmiller. I'm running for District 2 County Commissioner. I wasn't in the Army. I was in the Marine Corps. I enlisted for 6 years. My wife also was a Marine Corps veteran, is a Marine Corps veteran. She went in as an officer, so I would like to tell everyone that's listening I married up, so in case you talk to her, remember to say that. Business owner for 6 years. I took a nothing shop from just a hole in the wall to an incredible organization that's a thriving business right here in downtown Ocala. I'm a Christ-centered leader. I have a bachelor's degree, and I moved from Orland Park in 1992. And we had a farm up there, and we went from farmland, to houses. Overdevelopment went rampant in Orland Park and destroyed every single farm that there was. And I don't want that to happen here. My time's up, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Weidmiller, and thank you to all the candidates. We appreciate your time here this evening. You would exit your stage left, please. Thank you.
We would now like to welcome the candidates for County Commission District 4. Randall Alvord, Jeff Barristow, Wanda Wimberly Lasher, and Sherry Meadows. Welcome, everyone. You may have a seat. Make sure your mic is on. So we will once again start in alphabetical order. So the first question will go to you, Randall Alford. Marion County continues to experience rapid population growth. What does responsible growth mean to you, and what one infrastructure investment do you believe must be a priority?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Thanks for having us here tonight. Appreciate the CEP, Ms. James, Jessica. Yeah, so we've got a lot of infrastructure to catch up on. The penny sales tax that was passed 2 years ago overwhelmingly by Marion County voters with 65% of the vote. We have a transportation improvement plan provided through TPO. We got to get caught up on roads. That's the biggest issue that we have here in Marion County. So and really that's the easy answer. I'm going to give back a lot of time tonight because that is the answer. Roads, and more roads. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barristow.
Hi, everybody. Thank you tonight. My name is Jeff Barristow, your next commissioner in District 4. So roads before rooftops has been one of my #1 platform slogans. So roads are definitely important. How do we get there? Impact fees, all right? We need to make sure our impact fees on our new developments are up to where they need to be. We need to be collecting 100% of them. Yes, we've had a sales tax. Okay, the 1 cent sales tax has been in place. It's been in place for the last 9 years, all right, and hasn't done the job. We're still $1.1 billion behind on our road impacts, our road infrastructure. So infrastructure for the roads is very important. If we get that taken care of, that will solve a lot of issues. You've heard people talk about affordability in here. Well, affordability is also when your serviceman that's coming to your house to fix your air conditioner has to sit in traffic and he can only get 5 jobs in a day as opposed to 10 because he's stuck at the light for hours or at 484 on the interstate. So yes, roads are a major priority. That is my #1 issue that I will work with on day one. We need to make sure we get the money for that. We get that through the impact fees. We don't collect 70%, we collect 100% of what we need to get, not like the 70 that we have now. And we continue to use that 1 cent sales tax. But that 1 cent sales tax shouldn't be to build new roads, it should be to take care of the existing roads that we already have. We should use the impact fees on new development. It's not a tax, it's not gonna be trickled down to everybody in this audience. It's built by the buyer. All right, the builder who's buying it. You know how you keep from getting an impact fee? You buy a house that's already built. So thank you, I'm Jeff Barristow.
Thank you. Mrs. Wimberly Lasher.
Thank you all. It's a pleasure to be here.
Flip it up.
There you go.
Okay. Am I on now?
You are now.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. The first part of the question was about the growth.
Do you want me to read it again?
Please.
I certainly will. Marion County continues to experience rapid population growth. What does responsible growth mean to you, and what one infrastructure investment do you believe must be a priority?
Okay. Responsible growth to me means that we need to get our infrastructure under control before we continue with any more big developments. We have grown way too fast, and our roads did not keep up with us. It's like we put the cart before the horse. And one place that I would very much so like to see get finished is the Marion Oaks area. I know they have 60 projects that have already been passed and that they're already working on, or they're already passed projects to improve our roads in Marion County. So if I was there, if I get elected, I would like to see us try to get Marion Oaks done. It's been long past overdue. I went to a thing in Marion Oaks, a forum, and I sat on the side of I-75 for 27 minutes before I even made it to the exit, the beginning of the exit. And I come from a business background of trucking, and that really upset me to sit on the side of the road like that on I-75. And I do know that we're talking about state roads, but Marion County could give a little push. I think they could help get these roads finished. Like I said, I think there's 41 fatalities in Marion County already. Our roads are not safe. We need to get them back safe so everybody has a good quality. We're not sitting through red lights 2 and 3 times. And I think that development should pay for development. So before, we should be getting the money for the roads when a big development comes in from the developers. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Ms. Meadows.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and taking an interest in Marion County politics. I'm Sherry Meadows, and I'm running for Marion County Commission, District 4, and you get to choose your next 2 county commissioners August 18th. Growth is not the problem. Poor planning or management is the problem here in Marion County. Like growing pains with our children, we are having growing pains. We need to envision out 20, 30 years from now, not have the poor planning where we're reacting every 2 years. As far as the infrastructure question, impact fees of our $1.6 million budget are only 6% of our revenue. 15% of our revenue comes from property taxes, so where does the rest come from? We cannot govern Marion County in a bubble. We have to be able to collaborate with outside agencies, state agencies, as well as the federal level. The infrastructure that we have right now as far as roads, which has been a topic of everybody, is we have a big problem on I-75. It's the center of everything, whether it's out-of-town traffic traveling through or whether it's local traffic jumping on and jumping off. There are accidents all the time, and the interstate will be a boondoggle forever, in my opinion. We have to be able to move people around Marion County in addition to I-75. So infrastructure for me, possibly some type of a bypass. I don't have any idea where that might be. We don't need to uproot anybody, but we've got to be able to move people around Marion County and through Marion County easier. For me, the biggest infrastructure issue of them all is our water. You don't want to talk about water being an infrastructure, but it is. Florida is like a piece of Swiss cheese, and Marion County is very special and very environmentally sensitive. So our infrastructure of water is our greatest blessing, and we need to protect it in Marion County. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Meadows. Our next question, we'll start with Jeff Bairstow. If voters pass the property tax relief amendment and revenues fall short, how would you approach prioritizing county services?
So, great question. So, Jeff Bairstow again, your next commissioner in District 4. So, the property tax amendment is more than likely going to pass because it's very appealing. It sounds very, very good. So, how do we solve the issue with the budgets that we have, being that there's going to be a reduction in that? We treat the budget with the government just like we would treat a budget at our house, okay? If we have wants and we have needs, all right, we look at the needs, we keep the needs. If they're just wants, maybe we cut them, okay? So another thing that we can do is a lot of these different departments within Marion County, the sheriff's department, the road department, the fire department, when they get a budget, if they don't spend all of that budget, they punish them, all right, by not giving them the same amount next year. So hypothetically, if they had $1 million budget and they only spent $750, you know, they're going to say, well, you only spent $750 last year. We're not going to give you that million again. Another thing that we need to look at is surplus vehicles. So if we have a bunch of police cars that are being taken out of service and they're going off to auction, okay, that money that they get from the sale of those police cars goes back into the general fund. It doesn't go back into the sheriff's office budget, but it was their budget to begin with that paid for it. So we need to reward that, keep that money where it's supposed to be. We need to trim the fat. We need to treat government budget like it's our own personal budget and not like it's an open checkbook. We need to treat it like it's y'all's money, not the government's money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bairstow. Ms. Lasher?
Okay, well, it's kind of pretty simple to me. I think that we need to cut the fat and tighten up our belts. We have the concept, if you don't use it, you lose it. For instance, our animal shelter gets $8 million a year to run Marion County Animal Shelter. That's a lot of money. And I'm the animal activist, so, you know, I don't want to, you know, throw any daggers or anything, but I go to a lot of other shelters and they operate on half that amount of money and they get more dogs out the front door than they do here in Marion County. They get a lot of dogs out. So I think that we could utilize, just looking at this one place, we could utilize volunteers a whole lot more. Volunteers are free labor. And we have a lot of people that wants to volunteer. That helps. But in reality, we're going to have to take a good look at all the departments, the budgets, and we're going to have to see where waste is. We got to get rid of the if you don't use it, you lose it concept. I personally think that if they don't use all the money that's allocated for them for the year, I think that we should reward them some way by giving them, I don't know, something extra at the end of the year or I don't know, anything, but we've got to get rid of that concept for sure. The volunteers are big. And another thing, I've been going around to a lot of different departments. I'm running out of time, but I've seen things that we could do to make money. Like I was out at the landfill. So we're paying people to haul off tires, mountains of tires there. We need to look at maybe buying a shredder and us selling the tires shredded up. I mean, they're using the shredding for tires in playgrounds. We need to look at ways that we can bring more money in Marion County instead of us paying people to take stuff, we're paying people to do stuff that I think that Marion County could be doing ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lasher. Ms. Meadows.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. If voters pass the property tax relief amendment and revenues fall short, how would you approach prioritizing county services?
So, a lot of you guys might watch the market, and there aren't any good markets or bad markets. There's just markets we don't predict, right? Because if you could see into the future, if you had a crystal ball, you'd be able to take care of that market. We can't see into a crystal ball in Marion County. But our budget is $1.6 billion. And of that, only 15% of the revenue is from property taxes. So what are we going to do with our budget? Especially if the property tax reform passes. I believe we need to consolidate departments where we have duplication. I believe we also need to possibly look at our processes and systems and maybe update those and look at every item in our budget line by line by line with fresh eyes. That's my background. I love to study. I love to look at data. I ask questions. I bring teams together, and then I get to work. I feel like in Marion County, we're no longer the best kept secret in the state of Florida or in the country. Everybody wants to come to Florida. Everybody wants to be in Marion County. It's absolutely beautiful. Think of the things that brought us here. But you know what? Since we're not the best kept secret any longer, how about the admission price to enter Marion County for all these national builders and national developers and national companies? We raise the admission fee. I think that's what we should do, and that will help us to balance the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meadows. Mr. Alford.
Awesome. I was sitting in here, we were all sitting in here for the state rep candidates, and I'm going to make a little bit of a joke here. So when you guys asked the questions, all three were about the property tax. It's kind of like my fiance when she asked one question, she just asked it three different ways. So I'm glad we got that tonight. So let's talk about this property tax amendment. I've been going around, and I'm the first one to admit to it, that it's going to be a good thing. It's going to pass overwhelmingly, but we need to dig into this. Just today, I had a representative of mine reach out to me and said, Randy, did you know that in this property tax amendment that the counties, the Florida legislature is allowing the counties to reset the assessed values? So under Amendment 10 that was passed back in, what was that, 1992, I think, no, that was a comp plan, 2002, 2001, we have our Save Our Homes initiative. There's people right now in this room on this stage that have hundreds of thousands of dollars of tax savings. What if that goes away? That $250,000 additional homestead exemption is going to mean nothing. So there's some buried language in there. Now, again, I'm for it. Any bit of tax savings. I went ahead and broke down my bill. It was going to save me, on my $3,600 tax bill, it's going to save me about $722 a year. We're still paying the 6.32 mils for the school taxes, all the fire fees, the fire EMS fees. But where I'm going with this is, and I'm sorry I see Representative Chamberlain out there in the room, but we're being attacked by our state legislature. Out of our 67 counties here in the state of Florida, 62 of them are doing things right. Not the People's Republic of Broward County here in Marion County. We're doing things right here. We need to restore home rule. House Bill 399, we've heard a couple candidates talk about, we need to raise impact fees. Growth does pay for growth, but with that House Bill 399, you can't even statutorily raise impact fees without that, and it's already part of our books. Growth does pay for growth. When development come here, they build the roads, and they turn them over to the county, and my time is out. Can I get my time from the first question back?
No, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Albert.
Mrs. Lasher, we'll start with you for our third question. With a county budget of approximately $1.6 billion, what experience do you bring that would help you make sound fiscal decisions to benefit all cities and citizens of Marion County?
Yeah, thank you. I'm a businesswoman, and I started my very first business when I was 14 years old. It was a legit business, and it was an ice cream parlor that I put in the back of one of my dad's convenience stores. I've owned and operated several businesses. I've started, I love to take a closed down building, open it up, build it up, and make a good business out of it. Convenience stores, I've had a diner. I even buy the ugliest house on the block, and I'll remodel it and then rent it. But my biggest business has been transport. I come from trucking, the trucking industry. I started a trucking company with one truck, one trailer, and I built that company up into way up into the multi-million-dollar industry. I had so much business that I opened a second trucking company, and it's logistics, Jiffy Logistics, and I got my brokerage license, and then I started giving the extra freight to the local mom and pop trucking companies here, the owner-operators. So, you know, we were all doing very well. I have a lot of experience with business. I love it. Like I said, when I was 14, that's what opened the door for me in business. I can manage money. I'm fiscally responsible. I'm a watchdog for money. My parents have always called me tight, but actually, I just really watch money. Whether it's mine or anybody else's, taxpayers' money needs to be watched, and I will be a watchdog for your money. It's time that we go back to listening to the citizens. We need to listen, and I would work for you, and you would be my boss, and I have a lot of business experience, and thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Meadows?
Thank you. Marion County is at a crossroads, and we have to make a decision. Over the last 42 years, I've run a business. I opened our doors in 1984. And I've sat with families over those years that were wanting to achieve the American dream. They were possibly downsizing and moving into a nursing home. I've talked with folks that were losing their house to the bank and needed help. I believe that we have to think about affordability when we talk about businesses here in Marion County and citizens in Marion County. We need a business-friendly environment, and I think that is removing barriers to business, such as there was a great coalition recently that worked to reduce and then eliminate the business rent tax. It's helped a lot of small businesses. That was an electric bill for them having to pay that tax. We need to make sure there's less regulation if you want to be a business-friendly community, because if you're not growing, you're dying as a community. And we need a flourishing, thriving community. With that said, I have experience on the Land Development Regulation Commission. I understand the comp plan and the Land Development Code. I actually helped some of the folks in the room work on our springs protection during that time. I've also served on the Housing Finance Authority for Marion County. These are all volunteer roles, not paid, to focus on affordable workforce housing. We must have workforce housing if businesses are to thrive in this community. We have a lack and a need for that. Marion County has a great CEP that helps bring jobs here. I think they're doing a great job, and my business has flourished for decades, and I hope to continue doing that in Marion County. Thanks for the question.
Mr. Alvord?
So the question is, how are we going to be more fiscally responsible here in Marion County? Let's start by not spending. You know, I'm moving so far to the front of the stage because it feels like I'm getting a tan. So let's start by not paying $740 a square foot for new construction. The Animal Services facility out on State Road 40, on 20 acres of donated land, we spent $740 a square foot for that, a 36,371 square foot building. You do the math, 28 million divided by that, $740 a square foot. I sat down, when I first entered the race, I sat down with our county administrator, Monier Boyones. I sat down with him like, Monier, please tell me I'm wrong. Why did anybody say yes to this? He's like, Randy, what was the low bid? Couldn't the county commissioners say no? Of course they could have said no and sent it back drawing board. But we didn't. We paid that much money for that. It's ridiculous. There's other cases. At our, somebody brought up the waste management facility out there. We just spent over $700,000, and I just like saying the word, so that's why I'm going to say it. We bought a Centebogen. Anybody in the room even know what a Centebogen is? It's a German-made. It's the BMW of material handlers, but yet Caterpillar and John Deere makes that same piece of equipment that we can buy and service right here locally. It's the waste and abuse of that that's how we can be more fiscally responsible. Another thing, and I'm trying to talk really fast, so I'm struggling. Another thing, we have 3 new fire stations being under construction right now. There's ways in those architectural plans to save money. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we spent 3 times what we needed to on just the roof on one of those buildings. So those are the ways we can be fiscally responsible. And you need a bulldog in there, you need a Marine, you need a veteran. I'm honored to be the only veteran in here, so I appreciate it, and thank you.
Mr. Barstow.
Thank you again, Jeff Barstow. So the question was, what experience do we have to run this budget? So I was a police officer for the city of Ocala for 28 and a half years. Every day we had to solve a crisis, okay? I bring that experience, solving a crisis, with common sense. I think we've gotten away from common sense, especially in government. So I have 10 years. After I retired from the police department, I started a business, okay? And I've run that business. I've got employees now that work for me. Now, we all know that if we have a business and we continue to increase our customer base population, and with that customer base, we don't continue to have the resources, employees, all right, roads, computer services, okay, water, to continue to give a good service to those customers, then we end up turning out a poor quality of service. I think that's where we're at right now. We've gotten to a point that we've had so many customers move into Marion County that we don't have the resources to provide a good quality service to those customers anymore. If we have a family that lives in a house that has a septic tank that's full, and we continue to bring more guests in to use that septic tank, eventually that septic tank is going to stink just like the traffic on Pine, okay? So we need to make sure that we have those things in order before we continue to let people in. So I bring 28 and a half years of experience solving problems here in Marion County for you because you guys are worth it, and I have 10 years of business experience leading a common sense agency that I run. Thank you.
Thank you. Each candidate will now have 1 minute to give a closing statement. We begin with Randall Alford.
Thank you. Again, my name is Randall Alford, mechanic for Marion County District 4. I'm nearly a 50-year resident. My 2 beautiful daughters are sitting up here. I like to jokingly say my farm-raised daughters. And my beautiful fiance, and there's a boyfriend tagging along too, but we won't talk about him. So again, I proudly served in the United States Marine Corps from 1987 to 1993. I served in the Gulf War. I served as the immediate past president of Kiwanis Club of Ocala. We got Camp Kiwanis going out there right now. We have a 78-year relationship of working together with that governor, with that government, with the school board. I made a pact when I came into this race that I'm not going to go out and join things because it's just disingenuous. I haven't joined anything because I'm already part of the community. I'm part of Kiwanis. I'm on the Arnett House Board of Directors, 4-H and FFA volunteer. I've been part of this community for a long time. I didn't have to go out and become somebody that I'm not to run for office. Randall Alvord, Marion County Commission, District 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Barstow?
Jeff Barstow again, your next commissioner in District 4. So what do I bring? I bring 28 years of public service to this community, serving you. Okay, once again, because you're worth it. That involves sacrifice. I worked Sundays, I worked holidays, I worked nights, I missed baseball games, but it wasn't for nothing. It was a service that you have in your heart, all right, to want to serve the people of Marion County and Ocala. I bring the business experience that I have. I've got an endorsement from the property appraiser of Marion County, Jimmy Cowens, my brother-in-law as well. I also have endorsements from both the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 129 and the Marion County Sheriff's Office Lodge 145. Now those endorsements bring something more than just a hey, we like this guy. Those are people who have put their trust in me all right, to be your next county commissioner. And that's an important thing to remember. We've got the largest law enforcement organization in Marion County has put their trust in me to be your next county commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lasher?
Again, thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Wanda Wimberly Lasher, as she said. I was born right here in Ocala, 1966 at Monroe Regional Hospital. My parents carried me home to Citra, and that's where I've lived for the past 60 years. I'm a fourth generation here. I love Marion County. I have 2 sons and 4 grandchildren, and we all are active on the north end of the county. They live here as well in Citra. My grandchildren live next door. It's a blessing, but sometimes it's not a blessing when they eat all the food that I have in the refrigerator, and I go to get something and it's not there. But anyway, along this trail, a lot of people have asked me why. Why do I want to do this? And it's very simple. I love Marion County. I love the people in Marion County. I love this place. And I want to serve you, the citizens, and listen to what you have to say. It's time that we go back to listening to the people. Again, my name is Wanda. Thank you very much. I hope to earn your vote on August the 18th. Thank you.
Ms. Meadows?
This team of candidates has been traveling around the county for about 6 months now. We can almost give each other speech. So thank you for being here tonight and bearing with us. And it is an honor to be able to run for county commission. I am a child of God. I'm a wife of 42 years. I'm a mother of 4. And I'm a Mimi to 2 grandchildren, Waylon and Junebug. I am rooted in Marion County for 56 years. I've seen the change. I've been a part of it. I sit in traffic just as you do. But I've also run a business. I've run a business since 1984, and a very successful business, and I want to bring my knowledge and my institutional experience to the job on day one. This isn't a job for a beginner. This is a job for someone with experience, no on-the-job training. So I hope that you will consider Sherry Meadows for District 4, Marion County Commission, because I'd like to keep fighting for you. Thank you.
Thank you to our candidates, and we would now ask that you all exit stage left. Thank you so much.
All right, we want to thank again our candidates for County Commission, District 4. All right, the next race is for School Board, District 3. And let's welcome in our candidates, Eric Cummings and Steve Sweat. Gentlemen. Thank you both for joining us tonight. For the first question, we'll begin with Eric Cummings. The proposed rezoning and consolidation discussions involving North End Marion County schools have drawn strong reactions from families and communities. What priorities should guide rezoning and consolidation decisions?
Good evening first to everyone, and thank you for this forum. The conversation that we've been having on the north side, which is in particular talking about Anthony, Spar, Reddick, Fezzidan, those schools, is a conversation that cannot be held in a silo. That's a conversation that when it's discussed about what's going to happen, if those schools need to be rezoned or consolidated or what have you, that has to be a conversation where the community is involved. Oftentimes, decisions are made in silos and where no one has talked to the public to find out exactly what they want. Well, that north side pride, that area of Marion County is a tight-knit community, and they deserve to be heard, and any decision that's made concerning those schools has to have the input of the community.
Thank you. Mr. Sweat?
Well, thank you for the forum, and I appreciate being here and the interest from the crowd here. This is terrific. Oh, okay. Is that better?
There
Okay,
we
thank
go.
you. I am not an electronics technician, trust me. So, just like every other issue, and again, I want to thank for the opportunity to be here, but just like every issue, and of course you have to get input from the community. That goes without saying. But the role of a school board is to manage, supervise, deliberate, and do what is good for the community as a whole. That is our fiduciary duty. If adjustments need to be made, closures, consolidations, you have to balance and then make the hard decision as a school board member. Now, I don't know the ins and out details of it, except from what's in the public. But this goes back to prior decisions made years ago, and I'm going to pick the date of 2011, maybe even further, school allocations, reopening Evergreen School, and there's many layers. So it takes review, it takes knowledge, input from the community. But one of the things that's needed is someone to make hard, tough decisions, because we've got a massive financial burden, and we are headed for tougher times than we are now. There is no magic bullet. There's no feel-good solution. It's almost like triage. You've got to sit here and do the best you can with the material you have and the facts and the condition that we live in. But whatever it does, it must be done with fairness, equity, and with a sense of what's best for the Marion County students, the employees, and the taxpayers. So I will promise you every decision will be made carefully and methodically to the best of my ability. Thank you.
We will start with our next question. We will also go with you, Mr. Sweat, for this one. With a Marion County public school budget of approximately $1.3 billion, what experience do you bring that would help you make sound fiscal decisions for the district?
Again, I think your life experience, your ethos, your background, what you are, on a practical level, I was a postal manager for, I'm going to say 34 years. I started in the post office right out of college. So I'm used to, and one of the descriptions of post office job at that level was able to manage a large, complex, dynamic, fast-moving operation with many moving parts. Well, that's the school board, okay? That is something that I'm used to, and I'm telling you, as a manager and as someone that makes decisions, no matter what you do, everyone else could do it better, do it smarter, and do it better than you. That comes with the territory. On the other level, I've had a life experience raising children, running different small little businesses, and what I found out, just like all of us, you sit down at a table, you go, we don't have enough money to buy a new car or a used car. What do? You do what you have to do. You cut the budget, you go out and get a part-time job, you have to make tough decisions. Nothing operates in a vacuum, but one thing you can't do is think that the pot of money is going to be free-flowing forever. And a $1.3 billion budget is just beyond comprehension. And of course, we know a lot of it's from the new school collision building. That's another factor that was forced on before school board decisions made, literally decades ago. So you have to be aware of the present. You got to think of the future. And the one thing I don't want to do is relitigate the past. I'm for the future. We are where we are. I will do what we have to do in my 4 years to make this school so nobody will be here 4 years now with almost an insurmountable problem.
Mr. Cummings.
Can you repeat the question,
I
please?
certainly can. With a Marion County Public Schools budget of approximately $1.3 billion, what experience do you bring that would help you make sound fiscal decisions for the district?
Let me start by saying this first. My experience doesn't come from war stories. It comes from experience. Being on the board since 2018, we have dealt with budget situations, budget allocation, and to deal with the budget properly of understanding this $1.3 billion budget, we have to understand all that money does not stay in Marion County. All that money does not go through public schools. Some of that money is going through charter schools because we are a pass-through agency for some of that money. So when you hear $1.3 billion in Marion County Public Schools, take off about 500 million, because it's not all in Marion County Public Schools. And then understanding that every child, every student, there are allocations, state allocations, and understanding that you have to make tough decisions when tough decisions come about. We had that, and since I've been on the board, where we had to make some tough decisions as far as when COVID hit. We had an influx of money in our budget, and it looked like we had all this money, but those money were earmarked for certain things. You had to spend it at a certain time. You could not spend it on certain things, and we did what we needed to do. We were able to preserve jobs. We were able to continue to have our education level go up. We were able to, even in the process of this, get to the point where we're building new schools because Marion County started growing so fast. So the experience of using, understanding what we do as board members is that we are responsible for being good stewards of every dollar that comes into the Marion County Public School System. And when we look at how we're spending and being judicious in our spending and making sure that we're not just free-falling money out of the door, then we're going to continue to have a good school system.
Thank you, Reverend Cummings, and we'll stick with you for this final question to start with. Career Technical Education, or CTE, is a vital part of Marion County Public Schools. What knowledge and experience do you have with CTE, and what improvements, if any, would you support?
Thank you. Great question. Every student does not go the traditional role of education. When I say the traditional role of education, that's 12 years of public school education, and they go off to matriculate at some college or university. That's not the pathway for every student. CTE offers different pathways for students to succeed. Marion County is a very varied county, and it has so many things to offer, and it may not need that a student have to have a college degree. CTE offers vocational type programs in different industries, and we are offering different industry certifications to help these kids that don't want to go to college, that don't want to go into the military, that want to enter the workforce, to get these certifications upon graduation and enter into the workforce. Some of these positions are high-paying, high-skilled jobs. For instance, in the equine industry, we're the horse capital of the world. So we have different programs that are moving them towards the equine industry. At our MTC campus, we just opened an aeronautical aircraft mechanics school, which is another high-paying skill for a family situation. I had some nephews that wanted to go off to Embry-Riddle to do the aeronautical mechanics program. I said, no, just wait, because we're going to have it here in Marion County. So now they're going to be transferring over to MTC because that is another viable option for kids. CTE programs are needed, more of them are needed, and we need to make sure that we get those properly funded.
Mr. Sweat?
Again, many facets of your life influence your decisions. When I graduated from school in 1966, the norm was not to go to college in my neighborhood. You went in the service, you went to God, but even back then we had good diversified education programs. You could work at Southern Bell, and that was a long time ago. We have that now at MTI, and they've got buses going there. They've done some good things promoting the program, getting electrical workers, electricians. I think there's about 30 or so that have graduated, and that's a great career. But as a society and as people, we've got to stop this validation that the only good job is a job with a degree, that you need a degree to be a responsible contributor. There's an old story where the plumber gets done with the job, and he gives the guy the $500 bill, and he says, my gosh, I'm a lawyer, I don't make that much. And the guy says, I didn't make that much when I was a lawyer either. So we have to make people aware of the opportunity. And we've got to quit making assumptions that aren't there. In the post office, I could not hire people for a $76,000 job now as a postal carrier. And I never could know why. You got to work your way up. You don't start at that. It's hard work. Same in the military, same with Florida Power and Light. But we have got to get back to the basics in many areas, and we've got to start telling each other the truth. You do not have to have a degree to be successful or happy. And we are going to be at the point where skilled and unskilled, even labor, is going to be more valuable than a computer operator, because you need somebody to put the roof on your house or to rewire your house. So we need to get real with how we talk and how we judge people as society. And I will say the school board has done some good work recently, and we're going to keep doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sweat. All right, we are at the end of the question session. We have 1 minute each to give a closing statement. We'll begin with Reverend Cummings.
Again, thank you all for this opportunity to be here on this afternoon. And thank you, Mr. Swift, for just giving the school board some good props just then. I am part of that school board, and I thank you for recognizing that we have been doing a good job. Listen, on August 18th, you have the ability to elect one of us as your school board District 3 representative. I am a proven leader with trusted service who has a focused vision. That focused vision has always been for safe schools, because you have to have safe schools for our kids and our staff to be involved in, to be in every day. And then we have to have support for our students and our staff. Our staff are our value commodity, and we need to make sure that we support them in the job that they do every day. And then we have to continue to do smart spending. Budgets are getting tighter, belts are getting tighter, and we cannot just free fall money. We must be about doing the right thing. On August 18th, vote for Eric Cummings, Marion County School Board, District 3.
Thank you. Mr. Sweat.
So I want to take a few of my precious minutes to say this, and it's heartfelt. To my fellow campaigners and people out there running from office, from all the different offices, not just school board, I want to give them a shout out and a compliment. They're talented, they're working hard, they're going all over the place, they're spending their time and energy to be public servants and from a sincere heart of goodness and to be a public service. So I commend them, and I thank you for coming out today and being a part of it, because it's good to talk to a crowd. Now back to my campaign. I am what I am. My worldview is shaped by what I am, and due to my education, my work experience as a manager, my love of this country, and my knowledge of history, I want to make the Marion School District better, because it's our future, our children, it's our duty, and we have to think ahead for the next generation. This country has been good to me, and God bless America for what I have, but it's mostly through public education that I've achieved what I got. So that is what I am here for, to make the Marion County School Board better. I can be a change agent given the opportunity.
Time. Thank you, Mr. Sweat. And thank you to the candidates for School Board District 3. If you would, please exit stage left. Thank you.
Our next race is for School Board District 4. Let's welcome our candidates. Jeff Brewer, Mike Mills, Bridget Smith, and Buddy Wyckoff. And again, we'll start in alphabetical order. So Mr. Brewer, the first question goes to you. The proposed rezoning and consolidation discussions involving North End Marion County Schools have drawn strong reactions from families and communities. What priorities should guide rezoning and consolidation decisions?
I think the thing that's most important is the effect on families. They have not had a new school in 30 years, 40 years, and they need some new infrastructure up there in that area. I think that the families of that area, the history of that area, and the needs of the students should be a priority. All the growth is going in the southwest side right now, according to the master plan and what's going on, and they need some help as far as building new infrastructure out there. There's the new, out of Tallahassee, there's the new zoning law that says that if a single-family or multifamily piece of property is adjacent to an agriculture, they have some rights to change that to single-family. So there may be some growth on the north side that we can't anticipate. I personally am for home rule. I'm for family rule, and I'm for the families on the north side of town.
Thank you. Mr. Mills.
Thank you. So the long time ago, 40, 50, 60 years ago, the Marion County policy was to build smaller institutions for small, like, neighborhood type schools, right? We've learned, it's been increasingly more apparent to us that the institution should have a higher capacity. So a newer trend is running a K through 8 program, and there are benefits to that. While the history and the legacy of those institutions truly valuable, there's benefits to having fewer institutions with a higher capacity. Speaking as a business owner would, there's ancillary costs, the transportation and the fuel. Those savings on administrative costs then get fed back to the classroom, which is what this is all about, supporting teachers and supporting the classroom. So looking at it from a business perspective, if a unit is not yielding the results we want, we fix that. We take the funds that would go to that, we build, as opposed to putting a bunch of money into something that may be outdated with 20 years of maintenance costs that have been overlooked. Maybe we build something that's going to support our students and our teachers for the long haul.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
The question was about rezoning.
Would you like me to reread it for you? Yeah. The proposed rezoning and consolidation discussions involving North End Marion County Schools have drawn strong reactions from families and communities. What priorities should guide rezoning and consolidation decisions?
Okay. Yes, thank you for the question.
Of course.
So, years ago, the same thing sort of happened when we had to close Evergreen, and looking for ideas what could use for that school. But when you're talking about the North End or rezoning, the kids or the families don't want their kids on a school bus for an hour. So you can't really do that. So I'm shaking. Sorry, y'all. So with the school bus, you don't want them on the school bus for an hour because you have little kids in kindergarten going to schools in the South End versus the North End. Zoning, you're going to have to keep them where they're at for that particular reason, and bring back those family values and keep them in their home because some of those teachers live there too. So that's their community. So you want to keep the community together, the family together, the kids, and they grow up with each other in their neighborhoods. So I think a lot that to do is where they live. It's local, and keep it local. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wyckoff?
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think that there's going to be much movement in this coming school year that we're going to consolidate or we're going to build new schools in the northern part of the county. So let's just put this to the table and rest it for a moment. This is not a priority for the school board. They've said that themselves. It's documented. They've put it off to the side because all the growth is on the south end of this particular county. We need to be careful of that. They've got other plans where they need to put the infrastructure money. Infrastructure money is different than school, teacher, and faculty funds. So we can't take from one and put into the other. We have to be careful that those buckets are separate from one another before we decide that, hey, we can not build a school and then we can pay teachers more. No, we can't. That's a state law. Okay, those are different buckets, different envelopes for you, those of you that budget in that particular way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wyckoff. Our next question will begin with Mr. Mills. With a Marion County Public Schools budget of approximately $1.3 billion, what experience do you bring that would help you to make sound fiscal decisions for the district?
Thank you. That's a big question. That's a huge budget, almost $1.4 billion. So I myself am a business owner. I have signed the fronts of checks. I've signed the backs of checks. In my business on a daily. I am auditing contracts and using vendor relations to make sure I'm getting the best bang and I'm stretching my dollars. And that's what we have to do for the school board. That's our job, is to take the varying categorical monies that come in, our revenue streams, and there are specific expenditures we can use for each revenue stream. Our job is to stretch that dollar and then, again, feed it back to the classroom. So with many employees dealing with insurance and licensing and the varying day-to-day issues that a business operator has to deal with, I bring experience, and I don't think the school board is an area where you necessarily want to learn, right? We don't need to, someone doesn't need to learn how to operate a budget. You need to bring some experience in that category to this position.
Thank you, Mr. Mills. Ms. Smith?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. The question is about experience on the budget. So I am a secretary on a foundation called the Paul Chester Children's Hope Foundation, where we raise monies, and we travel all over the world and do medical missions. So I participate as the secretary on that board as well, and there's a lot of financial issues within that as well. So, and when you talk about budget, like you say with the $1.3 billion budget, have introduced those in areas so you can get that money back into the schools is what we need to be looking at. And you're right, you can't move from bucket to bucket, so those sort of things need to be looked at deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Mr. Wyckoff.
What are we going to do with all this money? How do you do it at home? How do you do it at home? Do you look at your bills each month when they come in? Do you make decisions based on how much we're going to save for vacation? Because that's a long-term goal. We have to do the same thing on the school board. There's only one or two things that we do on the school board. One of them is at the finance. The second one is policies. That's it. We only have two jobs. We don't have every single job. But clearly, this last board meeting, ladies and gentlemen, there was a discussion that was based on the budget itself. And there was discussion about spending some extra money. And it's tabled at this moment. They don't need to take a vote at this particular time. They're trying to get some more information so that they can decide whether it's worth their while or not. Well, isn't that what we do? That's what I do at my home. My bills are paid. I don't need to have a college education in how to finance my businesses or take care of my businesses at all. What I need is I just need to be able to be open and listen clearly and then listen to you as you're telling me whether you like the decisions or not that are being made. I encourage you to come to the board meetings as well. Thank you very much.
Mr. Brewer.
Okay, so the question is, what do I bring to the table financially in managing a $1.26, $1.3 billion budget? I guess it's personal. I've been on the board of 3 different nonprofits and the president of 2. I've run my own business for 20 years without any debt. I started Financial Peace University at a church, and I could teach it now. We use a cash system in our household. I am a numbers geek, and I love numbers. So I believe that we can always look more closely at the contracts we sign, at the buildings we build. But the most important thing to focus in on is the magic that happens between teacher and student. And I think that will be the #1 priority for me on the board, because I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. I remember in the 1997, I had to fight to get my second son, who's on the autism spectrum, at a different school because service is better for him there. I also fought for the schooling of my daughter, who's a certifiable genius at 160 IQ, and she skipped 3 years in school. So she needed an advocate, and she needed a platform to excel herself. So I think the magic, the mission, is to make the classroom is better for the students, to raise good citizens, to raise good students in math, reading, and civics, so that they come out of school with the values that we have infused with our families and our grandchildren. So, yes, I can handle the budget. I think we've got smart people on the board now, and I can add that perspective from the classroom as a 20-year teacher, a 20-year minister, and that's what I'll do when I'm on the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For our third question, we will start with you, Ms. Smith. Career Technical Education, or CTE, is a vital part of Marion County Public Schools. What knowledge and experience do you have with CTE, and what improvements, if any, would you support?
Thank you for the question. So I had a discussion just the other day about expanding our possibilities. So I've been a nurse for 35 years, an operating room nurse, and an educator in the operating room as well. I was also the educator at Northside Hospital. So I come from a diploma program 35 years ago, and I believe we need to focus on that and maybe elaborate more into that sort of program. We have associate degree programs, we have bachelor degree programs. We don't have the diploma programs anymore because it became too costly years ago. But what it does is it focuses on the nurse becoming more of a hands-on nurse. When they graduate, they're able to step right into that role. We have partners with the hospitals, so when the hospitals partner with the colleges as well, CTE as well, they already know that employee, or they can hire the employee, they know the nurse when they graduate. So we need to expand upon those opportunities for that particular field, because it's the largest growing field, and we have a nursing shortage as well. So not everybody wants to go to college for 2 years, but diploma is actually 3 years, but it's not all college. It's college for a year, and it's 2 years of clinical. So you actually working the weekends, or if it's your second career and you have a family or young family, you can only go to school on the weekends. There's endless possibilities to that type of program, and something that we should be talking about the Board of Nursing as well to expound upon that. Again, because they're able to graduate with credits for your degree, maybe not quite as much for your associate's degree, but you have the clinical experience and you could still pass the NCLEX exam, which is what we did 35 years ago. And since then, things have changed, but as far as the NCLEX, which that's a whole nother topic, but in other words, my time is running out, but that would be something we need to look into and collaborate with the colleges on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wyckoff.
Having been a high school teacher for 40 years, 30 of them here in Marion County, ladies and gentlemen, I had the honor of being part of the EMIT program at Forest High School. I was one of their 2 math teachers that drove this particular program. EMIT was our engineering manufacturing intelligence group, and they created robots, for example. They did presentations on STEM projects. We went to various competitions as well. So the CTE programs in our local schools are dynamic. They're open to every single student. So they need to take advantage of those. Now, the rough part is that in elementary school and middle school, you really don't know what you want, okay? But come high school age, you start to get a drift on what you want to do, what's going to be a part of that. Me specifically, I worked with FFA at Forest High School, and so that afforded me time to incorporate the math that has to go into their particular programs. Part of that was record books or managing their particular product that they were trying to raise. So with that, I think our CTE program is in good shape. The concern for me is that they go from one end of the county to the other end of the county. When we have our elementary school doing avionics at SPAR, we have our middle school, North Marion Middle School doing avionics, but then the high school is all the way down in South Marion County. Okay, so that's South Marion High School. So that makes it a really big deal for kids, now specifically in high school, to go out there and take care of those programs. Don't forget, we have other avenues. We have MTC and MTI here, as well as Central Florida. So let's take advantage of those. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer?
Yeah. CTE, Career Technical Education. I'm really grateful for CTE because my wife, Linda, worked for 3 years with Francis Marion Military Academy and then 10 years at Fort King Middle School as a secretary or a receptionist. And she was able to go back to CTE to get her high school equivalency diploma. She was one of those kids that came out that didn't even finish high school, and she got her cosmetology license, owned her own business, but in her later years, she decided to go back to school so she could become a paraprofessional and work in the schools. So I'm really grateful for that program. And in a like way, we need to find a school-to-work option for our kids in many different avenues. Right now, we have specialty programs for the high-performing students, and we need programs throughout the county that continue to be supported by the school board to get kids to work, to productive work. I have a grandson who's 24 years old right now, and he's working as an electrician, and he went through the program at Westport High School to become, he was enrolled in high school, but he was also working as an intern in an electrical company, and he's making the pay of a starting teacher now at 24 years old. So I'm grateful for those programs. I definitely support them. I think we need to have multiple avenues to get kids from school to work, because let's face it, half of our kids know where they're going and half don't. We need people in their lives that can give them the instruction, the mentorship to find their place in the world, to find the gift that they are to others, and to find a way to be productively workers in society. So I believe in CTE. I will continue to support it. And all the off-ramps that we can give the kids to come back into education if they've left it, and to be productive members of our society. Thank you.
Mr. Mills.
Thank you. Also a huge fan of trade programs. The school board's vision statement is to support every student's pathway to success. And that's very different. For every student, it's a little bit different, whether that be university, college, or community college, trade school programs, enlisting, or going straight into the workforce. In Marion County, we've got 40 programs, CTE programs, from agriculture, architecture, business, hospitality, you name it, we've got it. And what's important with these programs is that we continue to assess them and add to them. We find out which programs are being desired by the students and the community, and then we pour more into those programs. And let's say a program is not performing exceedingly well, perhaps we take that money and funnel it into a different CTE and find a new offering. What's really cool about our CTE program, all of these come with industry certifications. So whether the student decides to go to college or go into the workforce, they're either going to get credits from the CTE program or for college, or they're going to go into the workforce with a certification that's going to help them be a successful community member.
Thank you. Each candidate will now have 1 minute to give a closing statement. We will begin alphabetically with Mr. Jeff Brewer.
Hi, again, I'm Jeff Brewer. I think that the reason that I want to be in the board is to serve, and I think my associates here on stage would say the same thing. I think what I bring to the board is a unique perspective, a demand on myself that I walk as Christ would want me to walk. As a minister, I believe in the power of the gospel to change lives. As a special ed teacher for 16 years in Marion County, I've seen the 25 lowest percentile kids succeed. I've been to 5 different schools. I started out at Meadowbrook Academy teaching social studies to high school kids. Then I went to the juvenile correctional facility and taught there in the sheriff's office in the felony pod for 2 years. I taught a behavior class at Lakeware High School. I taught at Howard Middle School for 9 years, working with a very difficult situation. I worked at Oakcrest for 3 years and then Greenway. I helped turn 2 schools around, and I want to do the same for the school system. And I ask for your vote on August 18th.
Mike Mills.
Thank you. So I was born and raised here in Ocala. I graduated 2006. My kids are enrolled here in the public school system, and I'm a business professor at the College of Central Florida. In addition to that, I'm a business owner. So I have a unique perspective where I went through the program, or went through the school system. I saw what we were doing when I was younger. I see what's happening with my kids today. I am actively teaching the product from the school system, and in addition to that, I'm employing the product from the school system. Truthfully, I'm running for several reasons, but back in my day, Mama decided to stay home despite Dad making $400 a week. She knew how important it was for the parent to be involved in my education. Students statistically perform better when their parents are involved. Today, that is so difficult for parents to decide to stay home, one parent staying home to be involved, and that falls on the teachers. Teachers are having to step up to be encourager, they're being a parent, in addition to an educator and discipline, and I want to support teachers. I want to empower them, and I want to empower our students. Mike Mills, please vote for me August 18th.
Bridget Smith.
Thank you. I'm just getting warmed up now. So, again, I've been a nurse for 35 years, but I've been in this community quietly showing up every day for the last decade. I've been involved in Tallahassee legislation, advocating for parental rights, involved in textbook review committees here. I have a granddaughter that's in Dunellen Middle. I see what she brings home. We rank 57th out of 67 counties. We have a $1.3 billion budget. We need to stop the mediocrity bring back higher standards and enforce discipline in the schools. The teachers need the support because they discipline them, they go to the administrators, and they're sent back to the classroom. So we need to raise our standards ourselves, our parents as well, and the kids will see that. But we've got to stop the mediocrity and raise the standards. My granddaughter's brought things home, and I'm losing my time, but I'm just getting warmed up. We need more time. I'll meet you outside. Bridget Smith. Thank you.
Thank you. Buddy Wyckoff?
Hello, my name is Buddy, and the reason I'm called Buddy is because it's not my given name. I'm named for my father, but my older sister decided she wanted to call me Brother, and Brother turned into Buddy. And I want to be your buddy on the school board, ladies and gentlemen, please. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me. Anybody remember that? I do. I want to ensure responsible and transparent taxation for our school infrastructures. Let's spend the money where it's needed, not where we want it to go. Sure, we all want to take that vacation, but sometimes we just have to stay home and take a staycation. I want to promote open, honest communication in clear and accessible languages. I don't want this to be all these acronyms that we can't understand. I want to encourage meaningful public input before decisions are made. I encourage you to be a part of the school board as they meet so that you can be involved in the decisions that are made. Don't let the school board be the only ones making decisions. My name is Buddy. The primary vote is Tuesday, August 18th. I expect you to be there and check the box for Buddy.
Thank you to all of our candidates. You guys can exit stage left.
All right, thank you again to the candidates for School Board District 4. We have one race left. And our final race tonight is School Board District 5, and let's welcome our candidates now. Donald Barber, Ualthan Bigby, and Sarah James. You may have a seat. 3 questions, and we'll begin the first question. We'll start in alphabetical order. With you, Mr. Barber. The proposed rezoning and consolidation discussions involving North End Marion County schools have drawn strong reactions from families and communities. What priorities should guide rezoning and consolidation decisions?
Well, thank you. Thank you to the CEP. My wife, I can't see her out there somewhere, but I'm glad to have Hannah here. I'm excited just because we found a babysitter for 5 kids, so that's great. I would say that this happens to be our district that we're running for, and so this issue is close to our heart. We have one of our children that attends some classes at Spar Elementary, and I think that the motivating force through this should be 2 things. One, economics, and by economics, I mean the economies of those local communities. I'm the city manager of a small town where the schools were taken out, and it devastated those towns. And so that's a real economic factor that we need to be conscientious of. Secondly, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to run with my son being in Spar Elementary for some classes, is that I think that that should be driven by the parents. We ought to listen to what they say, and the staff. They feel passionate about some of those schools and some of those neighborhoods. And the questions of busing further, and the questions of what it would take and how much longer they are on that transportation route has a lot to do with quality of education and quality of life. So what we need to do is we need to focus on solutions of improving the campuses that we have. And in Anthony's case, because it's such a small campus, we need to go back to the drawing board, and we need to engage the community much more in a more comprehensive fashion. And we need to really listen to what those parents in that community have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bigby.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I agree with a lot of what Mr. Barber says. While I understand that there are concerns that lead us to close schools and make difficult decisions, the community isn't happy, right? We're not closing 8th Street in Osceola, And Spar and Anthony, they're important too. You know, I've served at 5 different schools in my tenure as an educator. I was a dean at multiple middle schools, and I will tell you, North Marion Middle School, you know, middle schoolers are gonna middle school, but they were the best behaved middle schoolers I've ever met. They were, and that doesn't happen on accident. They came from Spar, they came from Anthony. We need to figure out what they're doing right on the north side. There's other options, right? We can provide them a new school. We've done it for Forest. We're talking about doing it for Fort King a couple years ago. We can provide them a new school. We can redraw district lines so that more of our enrollment is heading to this school. But at the end of the day, people are hurting about this decision. We have to listen to them. We have to exhaust all options, pick up every stone. Their history matters, and they're doing a great job out there, and we need to stop neglecting the north side, in my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bigby. Ms. James?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Sarah James, Chair of the Marion County School Board. It's a pleasure to be with you all this evening. As the person who's doing the work right now, I'm intimately familiar with everything that is going on the north end, so let's talk a little bit about it. We've had community meetings, we've talked to families, we have been into their cafeterias and had those conversations about what do you want? Because the parent voice and the community voice and the taxpayer voice is important. But the reality is the budget has to budget. We have to ensure that we have a balanced budget. And when it gets down to it, at site-based budgeting, which is the way Marion County Public Schools operates now, those schools have less resources because there are less students being served in them. Students are served better when there are more students in one place. It's the idea of a common denominator. And so we have an expectation as the person who stewards the taxpayer dollars to make sure we're maximizing those resources. What I know for sure is when we merge schools together that are small to make a bigger school in a brand new place, because I don't disagree, Mr. Bigby, we need to make sure that we acknowledge the north end. We haven't had something new on the north end since we almost rebuilt completely Reddick Collier in 1989. That's the whole new school that we've had. So that's before I was born. And the reality is we need a new school on the north end, but we also have to consolidate and be good stewards of our money. And so the community has been a part of the conversation and will continue to be. I look forward to Dr. Brewer bringing a work session forward here in the next few months where we discuss this in depth. And the conversation is going to continue, but the reality is a merged school creates an environment where students are able to excel, have more access to resources, and are in an environment that is safer and an environment that is cleaner and better prepared for the new age student.
Thank you. Mr. Bigby, we'll start with you for question number 2. With a Marion County Public Schools budget of approximately $1.3 billion, what experience do you bring that would help you make fiscal decisions for the district?
Thank you. I really love that question. Thanks for having me today. What I bring to this board is what it's sorely missing. The experience of a regular guy, the experience of a person with a negative net worth, the experience of someone who's on the front lines of education, suffering for the benefit of children because we love them so. And when you go from loving a classroom full of students to loving a grade level to loving a full school as I have, I've served at the only dean at an elementary school, you realize that as the numbers move up, there's a temptation to let the numbers guide you. Ration, we've got resources we need to ration. But what we've lost at the very top level is nuance and care for the person dealing with the everyday realities of what's going on. And so right now I'm running this campaign on $515 donated to me, but we're a young campaign, we're 10 days in. And so again, government will always have the influence of business leaders and prominent members of society, but how many of us really think that's what our government is missing? Not just in Marion County, in the state, at the federal level. Are we missing more business leaders and titans of industry? Are we missing the voice of the normal guy that's struggling to make ends meet, that feels guilty taking a day off to go to his 3-year-old's preschool, right? that loses sleep over the kids that are being harmed because we're not showing up adequately for kids with disabilities, and the gen ed kids that are leaving because of the outbursts of the kids we're not serving. I've lived it, I'm living it, I'll be living it unless you elect me, and then we'll see.
Thank you. Ms. James?
Thank you. So when I was elected 4 years ago, I was a novice business owner. I opened my first business in 2021. I left the public school system as an administrator and opened my first business. In April, just this past few months ago, my business hit 5 years, which for small business owners understand what a mark that is. We did over $4.2 million in those 5 years, and I paid out almost $1.75 million in salaries to this local economy. So when we talk about the job, I think it's important, while I can appreciate your negative net worth, I think it's important to have someone who knows how to balance a budget, knows how to pay employees, knows how to ensure that bills are paid on time, people get exactly what they need, and our taxpayer dollars are stewarded effectively. And so that is far bigger than just one little conversation here or one little conversation there. The board is responsible for managing a $1.26 billion budget, but we employ the right people. We hired a new CFO just last year, and when I got elected, what I realized very quickly was that bureaucracy had run amok in Marion County Public Schools, as many of you probably realize, because government generally is a hot mess. And what I realized was when I got elected, I met with lots of people, and we needed a new superintendent. We needed new, fresh eyes on our budget with our new CFO, and we needed a new facilities department, and we've gotten just that. And those people, putting the right people in the right places, allows us to steward our dollars effectively, ensuring that we are spending our money correctly, we are following all of the laws of the land, but also we're doing what's best for kids. Because ultimately, that is what our job is to do, to make sure that our students are getting exactly what they need every single day. And so as a board member, that's what I'm committed to continuing to do for my last 4 years on the board, making sure that we are doing what's best for kids each and every day.
Mr. Barber.
I love this question. I am the chair of the Citra Improvement Society, the Citra Community Center. We have no taxpayer funding, but this year, under 1 year of leadership from our board, of which I chair, we've put a new roof on the building, we've remediated mold, we've fixed bathrooms, we've redone a playground, without any taxpayer subsidy. I was the Public Works Administrator for the city of Williston. When I took over the utilities department, they were in debt. Changes had not been made. We not only raised pay benefits and pay staff, we made money in enterprise funds. And that is something that this school board needs. They need a mindset of not just taking from you, the citizen, and utilizing that money, but figuring out creative ways to initiate different streams of income. And with a $1.26 billion budget, the school board is in a position to do that. I've recently, within 6 months, become the city manager of the small town of Archer, Florida, which has been in the news. And I was hired because they were before JLAC, and they were going to lose their charter and cease to become a town, and the legislature was going to hold back tax funds from our city. And within 6 months, we have removed that threat from the city. We are balancing a budget. We will have a balanced budget coming up on this budget workshop. And so I've done the hard work. I've hired 2 additional staff people, and we have found ways to make it work. It's about leadership. It's about directing resources in an appropriate fashion. And what happens in bureaucracy is they get complacent, and instead of base budgeting every single year, we just stack and build upon that. And you know what that's like. You've seen it. You've seen it in your tax bills. The county commission this year lowered the millage rate, and yet your tax burden went up for 2 reasons. One was trash, and one was schools. And enough is enough. We don't need to just be thinking about the property tax bill and what it's going to do for schools. We need to have long-term strategies to address this issue.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Our final question will begin with Ms. James. Career Technical Education, or CTE, is a vital part of Marion County Public Schools. What knowledge and experience do you have with CTE, and what improvements, if any, would you support?
Well, thank you. So CTE was a pillar of my first campaign, and it maintains being a pillar. I'm married to a tradesman, and I understand the importance of the trades in our community. Our community is built on the trades. Construction is a hot topic in our community, and those are all tradesmen, the electricians, the plumbers, the welders. So as I got elected in 2022, we have continued to expand what we offer in Marion County Public Schools. All of our high schools have programs where students never have to leave campus because transportation is a barrier, and a student should never miss out on an opportunity because they don't have reliable transportation. So every single high school has career and technical education opportunities for students where they can graduate with an industry certification, enter the workforce, and make more money than most of the college graduates. But beyond that, we've also enhanced Marion Technical College. Marion Technical College has started a diesel mechanic and an aviation program. We've gotten a state appropriation. One of the things that I love is that when I got on the board in 2022, about 1,600 students a year were getting an industry certification through our local high schools, and now that is up to 23, 24, 2,500 a year. So that's more students exiting our system prepared to enter the workforce. The reality is, to answer your question, I'm already doing the work. It's a commitment that I've made to this community to ensure that we are going to continue to make sure that our students are prepared for the workforce, because college is not for every student. Four-year university is not for every student, and we need to make sure that we have programs within our school walls that will keep students showing up for school, because for some of those students, the Construction Academy, as an example at Lake Weir High School, great partnership with MCBIA, those students are only showing up to school because they want to do the work in the Construction Academy. And so we're going to continue to expand those efforts to make sure we're meeting every single student where they are every day and trying to find a way to make sure they want to show up to school.
Thank you, Ms. James. Mr. Barber?
Imagine with me, if you would, that you've been chosen as the head coach of the U.S. Olympic team, and you go there, I believe in Los Angeles in 2028, and out of 100 countries that participate, your team in medals places 50th. But you say, I should still be the coach the next time because the previous coach only finished 70th out of 100. That's great, but we need leadership that says our goal is to be number one. And the way that we do that is we work with the legislature and we aggressively advocate for changes at the state level. Some of these mandates are destroying our opportunities on a local level to educate the way that we need to educate. And so that has to be a partnership. And we need to continue reporting to them. We have some wonderful legislators in here in Marion County, and we need to report to them and help them build a consensus with other districts of how we change some of these systemic problems that handcuff us, handcuff the classroom, and prevent us from implementing changes. But on the career source specifically, this organization right here is the answer to how we fix this problem. Because we need businesses who actually partner and take on apprenticeships, paid apprenticeships, so that by the time these students are 18, if they're not destined for college, they are already placed in a job. And that is something that we can do and work toward, and we need to do it more aggressively. I'm not satisfied with the results. I don't believe that the county, as I go out and travel, are at all pleased with the results. And so what I would say is, don't accept the coach that made you better. Go with the coach that has a plan to win.
Mr. Bigby?
Hi. So my generation was failed by the high school to college pipeline. I'm like $115,000 in student loan debt after my tenure at UF Honors and FSU Law that I left to help the kids. And so CTE improvement is very close to my heart. On top of that, we've got the rise of AI coming for all the jobs that can be outsourced to AI. Now more than ever, we've got to prepare our kids to be viable in these trades and workforces. And we've got to stop telling kids, go this route when there's 5 great ones for them. And some kids aren't meant to work with people. And some kids aren't meant to work with their brains, they're meant to work with their hands. We've got to free them up for whatever opportunities so that they can chase whatever this life has for them. Now, how do we improve that? We've got a great educator program at Vanguard. The leader just moved to North Marion High. I think that's a great idea. We've got FFA, HOSA, tons of these programs at the high school level. We need to now start developing programs at the middle school levels, particularly the middle schools that feed in. So if you're at Vanguard, then, well, now we should be seeing a Future Educators Academy at Fort King Middle that feeds into it, at the other middle school, Howard, that feeds into it. And we need to start targeting kids who are not concerned about grades or behaviors, because we know how the story ends for 90% of them. Let's get them interested in their future career. Let's get them learning. Let's get them apprenticeship. Let's partner with the businesses around that are going to employ them in the future and give them a real shot, not just a cookie cutter model. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bigby. And now each candidate will have 1 minute for closing statements, and we'll begin with you, Mr. Barber.
So, I'm running because I have 5 kids. They were all born in this county. My wife and I want to see them have a brighter future. We would want them to participate within the education system in Marion County. And we do have our 3rd eldest, as I mentioned earlier, in classes at SPAR. But I'm going to be honest with you. My wife dedicates her time to stay at home and homeschool the oldest 2, because when it comes down to it as a parent, I have a decision to make, to either do what I think is going to be politically expedient to me or do what I think is best for my children. And right now, I do not feel comfortable, and many people in this community do not feel comfortable having those kids, their kids, my kids, in that environment. And I want to be part of that change. I want to be so proud of our local schools that I can prove that by enrolling our kids in that system. And that may be criticism from many of you on that, but I love my children and they come first. And your children, if you elect me, will come first as well.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. Mr. Bigby?
All right, so just a couple points, right? Budget's got a budget, real quick. Which of us would say to our wives, hey, you know, money's tight, so we're gonna cut toilet paper from the budget, right? But that's what we're doing to our teachers, our staff, and our kids. We're trading common decency in the search of student outcomes when decency comes before outcomes. So, no, decency's got a decency. School board is a team. I don't have to have all the money movement. We do not have anyone on the board with real life experience. We've got plenty of captains of industry. We need someone that's living real life. And finally, purple, not red or blue. Our kids don't care if solutions are conservative or liberal. We've got to get down to the table and save our kids and provide a better future than the one we're set up to provide them right now. I have a 3-year-old. Mr. Bigby loves you. Vote for me. And I love these guys too, behind me. If you see me in this.
Thank you, Mr. Bigby.
It's a lot more comfortable.
Thank you. Thank you. Sarah James.
Thank you. So my name is Sarah James, and I'm running for re-election. When I ran 4 years ago, my oldest was going into kindergarten, and my youngest was 10 days old when I filed to run. And I had to make a decision. Do I want to be someone who complains about the school system from the sidelines, or did I want to file to run for school board and do something about it? And so I did. And here I stand 4 years later because I believe in public education. My kids are products of public education. My husband and myself are products of public education. We believe in what we're doing in this community, and I believe that what we're doing is in the right direction. The data that's going to come out here in the next 10 days or so is really going to blow you guys out of the water. Dr. Brewer was the perfect person for the job, and it took me 3 years to get rid of Dr. Gullett, and it's no quiet secret that she wasn't my best friend. But what we found in Dr. Brewer was a leader who's ready to lead us into a new age, and I'm excited to be a part of that team. I look forward to earning your vote on August 18th. My name is Dr. Sarah James. I'm running for re-election in School Board District 5. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all of our candidates in School Board District 5. If you would please exit stage to the left.
Thank you to all of tonight's candidates for participating and sharing your perspectives with our community. Thank you to Progress Marion for presenting this event, the Reilly Arts Center for providing this space, Dillon Media and our CEP production team and volunteers, and most importantly to each one of you that attended and engaged in the democratic process.
Great job with the mics, by the way. Great job with the mics. We want to encourage every eligible voter to learn about the candidates, plan to vote, and participate in shaping the future of Marion County. Have a safe evening, and thank you for joining us, everyone.
And go Team USA. All right, kid. That was 3.5 hours on our feet, though.
Dogs are barking.
I know.